A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Yes, it's the Goldbergs. It's cleaning time, and right now, today, is the time to hurry down and ask your dealer about the giant house cleaning sale he's arranging to help you with your house cleaning this spring. Everything you need for cleaning will be gathered together in one giant display. And listen, when you buy your cleaning aids at your dealer's great house cleaning sale, you get a wonderful surprise. Your dealer is arranging for you to get a brand new book entitled How to Beautify Your Home. This book is 8 by 11 inches with lots of full-color illustrations. There are 64 pages packed full of ideas on low-cost room plans, window treatments, how to cheer up your kitchen, how to make slip covers, color schemes, making small rooms look larger, a guide to furniture styles, and dozens of amazingly useful house-cleaning hints. And listen to what you get besides. You get 30 cents worth of soap, absolutely free. Yes, in the back of this fine book, there are 3 coupons. Coupons good for 30 cents worth of free soap. Now, to send for this valuable book, many dealers have handy order blanks for your convenience. Ask your dealer for one right away, because with that order blank plus 10 cents and a few wrappers or box tops from certain Procter & Gamble soaps, you get this wonderful book. Now, you want to hurry and get down to your dealers today. These great house cleaning sales won't last forever, you know, and you don't want to miss out. So hurry and take advantage of this sale right away, today. And to stock up on new Does. Yes, look for that big red and white box with the name D-U-Z, Does. You know, this amazing new kind of granulated soap does all 3 kinds of wash. Everything from heavy wash rugs and blankets to pretty washable slip covers and rayon curtains. So see your dealer today. Ask him about his marvelous house cleaning sale. Find out how to get your book and free soap before it's too late. And now the Goldbergs. While the Goldbergs were passing the hours between their arrival in New York from Glastonbury and Rosie's arrival from Florida, a visitor called on them. It's the father of Walter Jerome, the boy with whom Rosie fell in love, the cause of her vacation and the cause of her return. Walter is engaged to another girl, and Jake is furious with the Jeromes because he doesn't want Rosie embroiled in anything. At first, Jake wouldn't speak to Mr. Jerome, but he's present and resting on his dignity. Listen.
Well, Mr. Jerome, I'm listening.
Jake.
Mr. Jerome said he had something to say to me. I'm listening.
I think we have things to say to each other.
I'm afraid, Mr. Jerome, that I don't recognize any obligation on my part to discuss my daughter with you. My foot is down. Absolutely.
Please, Jake. Mr. Jerome is here because Mrs. Jerome asked him to come to see us.
Why?
Because... Why, Mr. Jerome?
Tonight was the first time I heard about it myself.
Yes.
Mrs. Jerome called me and told me that Mr. and Mrs. Goldberg were at this address in New York and that I should come and speak to both of you.
About what?
About the affair.
Affair? What affair? Who says there is an affair?
About the situation, then.
What situation? There is no situation. And there isn't going to be a situation. And I refuse to have my daughter involved in a situation.
Mr. Jerome only means...
Mr. Jerome can say what he means, Molly.
I only mean, Mr. Goldberg, that my wife asked me to speak to you.
And I'm asking about what?
Jake, dear. About Rosie and Walter.
There is nothing between Rosie and Walter. There is no reason to mix their names. They have nothing in common.
Jake, if Mr...
No ifs, Molly.
Jake, if we don't listen, we can't know what Mr. Jerome has to say.
I'm listening.
Please, proceed. Continue, Mr. Jerome.
Well, at least you and Mrs. Jerome agree. You don't want this, whatever you want to call it, to go any further.
Further? Mr. Jerome, it's got to go backwards. My daughter is arriving at sharp midnight from Florida. She went there not to be in Glastonbury while your son and his financier were there. If therefore...
Mr. Jerome knows, Jake. Mr. Jerome knows. I told him.
Then it seems to me It's up to him and Mrs. Jerome to see that Walter and his financier leave Lestonborough at once.
I agree with you. There's one difficulty in the way, however.
Which is?
Walter doesn't want to leave.
You hear that, Molly, huh? You hear that?
Please, Jack. So what's to be done, Mr. Jerome?
Well, let me tell you a little of what happened. Walter has known Norma, who's a very charming girl.
We met her.
She and Walter have known each other for years. And last year, when Walter was home from college, they were engaged. My impression was that they were very much in love with each other, so I was surprised to hear from Mrs. Jerome that something had happened.
Nothing happened. Your son came to our house. That's all.
You understand, Mr. Jerome, that my Rosalie is a child. I think that she was a little attracted to your son, but she didn't know that he was engaged. And when she did find out, well, she left. We saw to it that she left. She went to Flout. That's all. So it seems to me, if I may say so, if you beg my pardon, it would be very wise to have Walter also leave Glastonbury, and it would be finished.
Exactly my thoughts.
But he doesn't want to leave.
If you can get him to leave, I can, Mr. Jerome, and I will.
It's 9 o'clock.
To proceed, Mr. Jerome,
Excuse me, Mr. Goldberg. I told Mrs. Jerome I would call her at 9 to let her know what we talked about.
Oh, we haven't said anything.
If you want to call, Mr. Jerome, you can use the telephone right here.
Thank you.
We'll leave you alone if you like, Mr. Jerome.
It isn't necessary. Excuse me.
Yes, Jake.
Hello? Will you get me Glastonbury 57, please? Reverse the charges. Thank you.
I would like you to inform Mrs. Jerome that I am not interested in having your son visit my house.
I understand.
And furthermore,
Please, let Mr. Jerome speak to
Hello?
his wife.
Hello, Bertha. This is Bernard.
Well, Bernard, did you see the Goldbergs?
Yes, I'm with them now.
Good. Did you tell them?
I've spoken to them.
I hope they understand.
How are Walter and Norma?
Oh, their health is excellent. Did you tell the Goldbergs that if they try to marry their daughter to our son, he won't get a penny?
I only...
Did you make it clear? I want you to make it clear. They're not going to make a match with their daughter at our expense.
Mr. Goldberg...
I don't care what Mr. Goldberg thinks.
He said...
Bernard.
Yes, Bertha.
I asked you to see the Goldbergs for one reason only. I want it understood.
Bertha.
I want it clearly and completely understood that the moment Walter does anything other than I say, he is no longer my son.
Bertha.
And if they understand it, they'll put an end to their plans. Tell them that clearly. You hear, Bernard?
But Bertha...
Just tell them what I said, that's all.
And if...
No and ifs. Just be a father and think of your son's future. Goodbye, Bernard.
Bertha.
I've set my heart on Walter's marriage to Norma. Is that clear?
Yes.
Very well. I'll call you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.
I understand, Mr. Jerome, that it's not easy giving a child a command, especially in matters like this.
It's solely up to you, Mr. Jerome. If your son would attend to his obligation, we could help our daughter forget her mistake.
I'm afraid you don't understand me, Mr. Goldberg. I have only one thing on my mind.
Yes.
My son's happiness. Nothing else.
And we have Rosalie's happiness in mind. Nothing else.
Walter has been a sheltered boy most of his life. All the good things that money could buy were the things we gave him.
And the things money can never buy, we gave our daughter.
I did my best in that way also. And now Walter has stopped receiving. He wants to do things by himself. He wants to make his own life.
I can understand that.
But,
Jake, please.
Mrs. Goldberg, I want my son to be happy.
Of course.
I want him to do those things that seem worthwhile to him. Those things that seem important to him with his life. I don't care what the past may seem to lead to. It's the future that counts. And you and I know that with young people, love is an important thing. With older people also. You and Mr. Goldberg are happily married. Even a stranger like myself can see that. Well, I want Walter to be happily married also. It's his choice that counts, not mine or his mother's.
But he's engaged.
Don't you think that he and Norma and, let's say Rosie are the best judges of what they want? Should we let our desires and prejudices stand in the way? I'm here to tell you that so far as I'm concerned, what Walter does, as long as it's honest and truthful and proper, is his own affair. I want him to be happy, as his mind and his heart tells him to be happy. I'm a father, not his lord and master. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know what he feels. He hasn't told me. But I'm on the side of his feelings, not his obligations.
The engagement?
An engagement, Mrs. Goldberg, is not a marriage.
And Molly sees that there are more than two sides to the situation. More than just wanting it one way or the other. The Jeromes are divided. What about the agreement between Molly and Jake when Rosie gets off the train? Now, don't forget to see about your dealer's giant spring house cleaning sale today. Find out how to send for your wonderful big illustrated book full of thrilling ideas on beautifying your home. This grand book gives you hints on color schemes, furniture, decorating, how to make small rooms look larger, and it contains 63 useful house cleaning suggestions. And in the back of the book, there are coupons good for 30 cents worth of free soap. This valuable book is yours for just 10 cents and a few wrappers or box tops from certain Procter & Gamble soaps. Many dealers are keeping handy order blanks for your convenience, so ask your dealer for one today. It gives you all the details. And don't forget to get several boxes of new Does, that new kind of granulated soap that does everything in your wash. Your dealer has Does, D-U-Z, at prices you like. Now, don't put off going to his sale. Get down there today. Find out how to get your book and free soap. Be sure to listen to the next episode of The Goldbergs. On Monday, Rosie arrives, and she brings the problem back from the future into the immediate present. This is Clayton Collier wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, makers of Does, the new kind of granulated soap for all three kinds of wash.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a missing persons detail. A wealthy businessman in your city drops from sight. There's no trace of him. There's no apparent reason for his disappearance. Your job, find him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, February 6th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of missing persons. My partner is Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from communications, and it was 8:15 a.m. when I got to room 67A. Missing persons.
Hello, Joe.
Oh, hi, Vance.
How you coming on the Jarrett case?
Oh, nothing. It's a dead end so far.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Joe?
Yeah, Ben.
Just got a call from Evans, Harbor Division. They found Jarrett's car.
Where?
Parked at the end of Pier 6, abandoned. Found it about 7 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, they checked the car over?
Mm-hmm. They found Jarrett's coat in the front seat. Letter in the pocket.
Yeah?
Suicide note.
John Keith Jarrett was a prominent and prosperous man. He was a well-known civic figure and socialite. As a young man, he'd inherited a moderately successful business from his father, and over a period of 20 years built it into a $1 million concern. He was apparently happily married to an attractive woman, and he was the father of 2 grown children, a son, Keith, age 26, and a daughter, Evelyn, age 23. According to his friends, business associates, employees, and advisors, there was no logical reason for Jarrett taking his own life. The letter found in the abandoned car on Pier 6 was brought downtown and the handwriting checked. It matched perfectly with the other specimens of Jarrett's writing. There was no sign of the gun which Jarrett was supposed to have carried. 9:35 a.m. Ben and I drove down to San Pedro, boarded police boat number 1, and joined with officers Brett, Hanby, and Tretter in a 2-hour search of the area around Pier 6. We found nothing. 11:40 a.m. The launch headed back for the dock.
I can't make it out. Not a trace.
Well, it might take a little time. Pretty fair chance the tide swept the body out of the area. It'd still turn up.
This fog's not helping much.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just ornery this morning, Joe. I sure can't buy this thing the way it stands.
I'll put in with you there.
Jarrett disappears Thursday night after work. His car doesn't turn up till this morning. He made up his mind to jump off the pier. Why'd you stall around an extra day and a half?
I don't know.
How about Miss Jarrett? When's she due back?
She's flying in late tonight from Sacramento. We can check her in the morning.
Now, looks like we're just about in.
Yeah. Well, the crime lab ought to be through checking the car, huh?
Yeah, just about, yeah. These boys on PD1 sure can handle this thing, can't they?
Sure can. Well, I'm going to call in from the phone on the dock. You want to stand by here a minute?
Okay, watch your step there, Joe Slippery.
Yeah, all right. Michigan 5211, please. All right. Crime lab, please. Hi, Lee. Joe Friday. Did you look over that car? Mm-hmm. Where? Oh. Yeah, we'll check with you. Right, thanks.
How'd they do, Joe? Anything?
Jarrett's gun. The crime lab boys finally found it.
Where?
In his car. It was hidden up under the dashboard.
Yeah?
Gun's been fired recently. 2 empty shells. How the recovered gun might tie in with Jarrett's disappearance and the suicide note, we had no idea. When the car was found abandoned at the end of Pier 6, the obvious guess was that Jarrett had taken his life by drowning. If that was the case, what accounted for the 2 shells in his gun? Why was it carefully hidden under the dashboard of the car after it was used? Why were the only fingerprints on it those of Jarrett? Together with Sergeant John Epperson, Ben and I spent the rest of the day interviewing the friends and business associates of the missing man. The answers were the same. Not one of them could think of a good reason why Jarrett would take his life. More than half of them thought that he'd met with some kind of foul play. Late that night, Mrs. Jarrett arrived back in the city. The next morning, Sunday, Ben and I drove out to the mansion in Bel Air to talk to her. She was a pale, middle-aged woman. There was a strong smell of liquor on her breath.
I was just fixing these flowers. It's not very good to keep them out of water very long, you know.
Yes, ma'am. You go right ahead with it.
Would you for some brandy or something?
No, thank you.
Coffee, something else?
No, thank you.
I think I might stand a little brandy. Helps sometimes in the morning. Sergeant, I'd like to have you tell me the truth. What do you think has happened to my husband?
Well, that's just what we're trying to find out, Miss Jarrett. All we have to go on is that letter that we found in his car.
Oh. I can't believe there's anything in that. Jack and I have been married 31 years. He'd never take his own life. I know him that well.
The letter was in his handwriting, ma'am. We've confirmed that.
Yeah, that's why I say it's so confusing. Look. Isn't that a gorgeous rose? Will scarlet, they call it. That's gorgeous.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be possible for us to talk to your son and daughter, Miss Jarrett? It's just a routine investigation.
Well, I'd rather not have Keith or Evelyn brought into this, if you don't mind. Are you sure you wouldn't care for some brandy?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I don't mean to sound arbitrary, ma'am, but this case isn't exactly trivial, and I'm afraid that your son and daughter will have to be brought into it sooner or later.
Well, can't be helped, I guess. If you like, I'll give you their addresses. Keith lives in Hollywood, and my daughter Evelyn has an apartment near Malibu.
Either one married?
We're both single now. Evelyn's been divorced.
Mm-hmm. Any trouble between you and your husband? I mean, any recent arguments? Yeah?
Not recent, no. We didn't get along too well, that's all.
When you don't think any family trouble could account for Mr. Jarrett's disappearance, huh?
I don't think so. Jack and I rarely argued. We didn't get along, that's all. It was no worse last week than it was 10 years ago. Oh, he has his work. I have my interests. Worked out as well as a lot of marriages, I guess. I'd better get on with these flowers.
No offense intended, ma'am, but you don't seem too disturbed by what's happened. Suicide note and all.
No? I guess I don't.
You don't think this marriage trouble that you mentioned a little while ago could lead to your husband's suicide?
I didn't mean that much to Jack. Good or bad, his family never meant that much to him.
Oh?
It was always the company, business, making money. We never worked out. Jack didn't care about having a real family. It didn't mean that much to him. He wrecked everything I ever wanted. I won't bore you with the story.
Do you know of any business troubles that might have upset him?
No. Jack never discussed business with me. He had his own interests. The children had their own interests. I guess I have mine.
Ma'am?
I drink, Sergeant. It's something to do. I drink every day in the week. I drink quite a bit. It's only been since the children left. I blame them. Jack didn't care. Guess I don't care myself anymore. We never were a family.
Do you know if your husband's seen your son or daughter recently?
No, he never visits them. He never had anything in common with them.
And you still don't think that this trouble has any connection with what might have happened to Mr. Jarrett?
Maybe. I don't think so. Doesn't seem to matter that much to me.
How do you mean?
Well, it doesn't matter, Sergeant. I don't hate Jack. I don't love him.
Yeah.
I just don't care, that's all.
Before we left the Bel Air mansion, we got the addresses of the son and daughter and showed Miss Jarrett's room. No leads. 1 p.m., Ben and I drove down to Malibu to interview the daughter, Evelyn Jarrett. She lived in a small, modernistic cottage bordering on the beach. She was attractive and well-dressed. At the age of 23, she'd been twice married and twice divorced. She sat on the sofa filing her fingernails while we talked to her.
I don't mean to be rude, Sergeant. I have a date at 2:30. I don't want to be late.
We'll try to make it as quick as possible, Miss Jarrett. We talked to your mother this morning. She told us you haven't seen too much of your father the last 2 years.
Yes, that's right. None of us were ever really close to him.
Well, when's the last time that you saw your father, Miss Jarrett?
Well, up until last Thursday night, I hadn't seen him for about 5 months, I guess.
Oh, you saw your father last Thursday night, was it?
Yes, he called me that afternoon, said he wanted to have dinner with me and my brother Keith.
Did you have dinner with him?
Yes, a little Spanish place out in Melrose. Keith was late as usual.
Wasn't that pretty unusual for your father, having you and your brother get together with him for dinner?
Well, it didn't happen very often. Mother probably told you about that.
Well, how did he seem that night? Did you notice anything unusual about him?
No, he was pretty much the same as always. Asked Keith and me how we were getting along, if we needed any money.
He didn't mention anything about leaving the city, going on a trip, maybe?
No, he didn't. We had dinner, a few drinks, then I left.
What time was that, Miss Jarrett?
A little after midnight, I think. Well, Keith and my father stayed on. They said they were going to have a few more drinks.
I see.
Care for a cigarette?
No,
thank you very much.
Here you are, I've got it.
Thank you.
How was your father when you left him, Miss Jarrett? In pretty good mood?
Oh, he and Keith were arguing as usual. After a few drinks, they always argue.
Anything serious?
I don't know. Keith had some debts. He wanted Dad to pay them off. There's one thing I'd like to ask you, Sergeant.
Yeah.
I read the story in the paper, that gun you found in my father's car. Was it an inflated revolver, a .32?
Yes, that's right. There were 2 shells fired.
Funny. Dad hasn't had that gun for a year. Reason I know is because after my divorce, I moved into this place alone. I thought it'd be a good idea to have a gun around, so I asked my father for his.
Yeah?
He told me he'd given it away already. He didn't have any more use for it.
Who'd he give it to, do you know?
Told me he gave it to my brother Keith. That was almost a year ago.
Oh?
It must be a mistake. If Keith had the gun, how could they find it in my father's car?
Well, maybe Keith can tell us. As soon as we left Evelyn Jarrett, we drove to a public phone booth, and Ben put in a call to the Green Castle Apartments in Beverly Hills, where Keith Jarrett was living. There was no answer. Ben called the manager of the apartment.
Yes, sir. How's that? Mm-hmm. When did you say? I see. All right. Thank you. Bye. forgot something.
What's that?
Jarrett's son doesn't live there anymore. Manager says he moved in a hurry.
Yeah, when?
Thursday night.
You are listening to Dragnet.
Sunday, February 7th, 4 p.m. Ben and I drove to the apartment vacated by Keith Jarrett and checked it over. No leads. We called Mrs. Jarrett and her daughter Evelyn. They had no idea of Keith's whereabouts. Mrs. Jarrett suggested that we call a fashionable tennis club out in Hollywood to which her son belonged. There they told us that Keith Jarrett was scheduled to play in a tournament match on their courts the following morning. Monday, February 8th, 10:30 a.m. We checked in at the tennis club.
Joe, I talked to the man at the desk.
Yeah?
He said he's around here someplace. He's having a boy page him. He'll send him over to her.
Okay. Wonder if this is where he moved after he left the apartment.
No, I talked to the clerk at the desk. They don't have living quarters here. And that's sure a beautiful stretch of lawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wonder if they have any trouble with Gopher. Nice shot.
My name's Jarrett. You gentlemen looking for me?
Oh, yeah. Police officers, Jarrett. We'd like to talk to you a few minutes, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Got a match coming up. Yeah, I got time. What can I do for you?
It's about your father, Jarrett. We've been assigned to the case. Thought you might be able to help us out.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you anything I know. Figure suicide. Kind of unusual. We haven't spent much time together the last couple of years. My father and I didn't get along too well.
How did he seem to you Thursday night, all right?
Yeah, pretty much the same as always. We ate, had a few drinks. That was about the size of it.
What time did you leave the restaurant, you remember?
Oh, 1:30, I guess.
Did your father leave with you?
Yeah, that's right. We drove to my place for nightcap, talked a little, and then he left.
What'd you talk about, do you recall?
Same old thing. Tried to argue me into taking a job with a company. He's been trying to sell me on it for years. I never could see it.
I see. What kind of work do you do now, Jack?
Tennis.
How's that?
I play tennis. Follow the tournaments. I like it pretty well. My father never could see it. He calls it tennis bums.
I see. And you don't have a regular job that you work at?
No, that's what we always argued about. I like tennis, though. Figure if you've got the money and you don't have to work, you might as well be doing something you like. Hey, you fellas care for a stick of gum?
No, thank you.
No.
Excuse me. You know, I've been doing pretty well since I strengthened my backhand. I'm seeded fourth in this tournament.
That's so.
Oh. Pretty good life all in all. A lot of fresh air. Nice looking girls around. Good class people.
Mm-hmm. You still live in town, Jack?
My friend and I rented in Hollywood. Just moved there.
When'd you move?
Sometime last week. Why?
Thursday night?
Yeah, that's right. Thursday night. Is that supposed to mean something?
You left pretty much in a hurry, didn't you?
I guess so, yeah.
Mind telling us why?
Look, let's go back in the lounge.
Yeah, okay.
A little more privacy, no use advertising it.
What's that?
I got quite a few bills around town that need paying. Tried to get my father to cover them when I saw him Thursday night. He turned me down, so I figured the best thing to do was move. I'd lose some of the bill collectors for a while, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Do you usually notify your family when you move?
Well, I was going to let them know. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't think I get it, all these questions.
Just routine, Jerry. We understand that your father gave you a gun about a year ago, a .32 revolver, nickel-plated.
No, that's right.
Well, if you had the gun, how come it was found in your father's car?
Because he asked me for it back. Oh, must have been 6 weeks ago.
You say why he wanted it back?
No, I didn't ask him. I dropped it off one day when I was going by his office. You can check with his secretary, Mr. Butler. Say, fellas, if you don't mind, I better run. I got that doubles match coming up.
Just one more question, Jared. Can you think of a good reason why your father'd want to take his own life?
Just one.
Yeah?
You met my mother?
During the next 3 weeks, besides checking on dozens of other missing persons calls, we continued pushing the search for John Keith Jarrett. One by one, we eliminated the possibilities. Jarrett's personal physician told us that after a recent examination, he considered his patient to be in sound physical and mental health. We rechecked Jarrett's business rating. His company was in excellent financial condition. His bank statements were gone over. Nothing showed there. We talked to Jarrett's lawyer. He could think of nothing to account for his client's disappearance or possible suicide. We went back and retraced our steps. Outside of the gun found in Jarrett's car, which tied in with nothing, there was no hint of fire involved. 2 months went by. We kept pressing the search. We got nowhere. Thursday, April 11th, I had lunch at the Federal Cafe, and then I took our car, 80K, to the police garage for servicing. 1:15 p.m. I checked back in at the office.
Joe.
Hi.
Got something.
Yeah?
The Jarrett case. This kickback just came through from Washington.
Oh, let me see.
Here, look here. Here you go. Walter John Mitchell, Port Santa Tomas.
Santa Tomas.
Yeah, we've been there. A little fishing town north of San Diego.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Walter Mitchell, small boat operator, applied for a Coast Guard pass March 18th.
Let me see. Check the fingerprints on Mitchell's application. Found to be the same as fingerprints on missing persons bulletin. Well, how about that?
Yes, we made it. John Jarrett, Walter Mitchell.
Same man, huh? 2 p.m. Ben and I checked out of the office, got in a car, and drove down the coast to Port Santa Tomas, a small fishing town with a population of 250. On his application for a Coast Guard pass, the man who signed himself Walter John Mitchell listed his address as Pier 2, berth number 11. When we checked there, the berth was empty. We talked to one of the villagers fishing from the pier. He pointed to a fishing craft lying halfway out in the bay and identified it as the Blanche S., Mitchell's boat. Said he was having engine trouble. The man told us that he had a small boat that he'd rent out for $2. We took him up on it.
Sure hot down here. Think I'll get rid of this coat.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yep.
I'll give you a hand there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sure a long pull.
You want me to take over for a while?
No, we're almost there now.
Yeah, easy now. We're coming alongside you.
Yeah, all right.
That ought to do it.
Mr. Mitchell? Walter Mitchell?
Yeah, coming. Who is it?
Police officer, sir. I'd like to talk to you if you have a minute.
Oh, all right. Come on aboard. Hold it steady there.
All right, I got it. Go ahead, then.
Yeah, all right.
Look, watch it. Oh, you better grab hold of my hand.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Tie up and climb aboard.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Come on aboard, officer.
Thank you. My name is Romero, sir. This is my partner, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do?
How do you do, sir?
Yeah, here we are. You can sit on that hatch cover if you like. Clean. Scrubbed it down myself this morning.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, thank you, sir.
Beautiful day, isn't it? Nice warm sun. Look at that. Water's clear as crystal. Good life out here, officer.
Yes, sir. I guess you have a pretty good hunch why we're here.
Well, I don't know. I'd like to have you tell me.
Well, your real name's Jarrett, isn't it? John Keith Jarrett?
Yeah, I thought so. I've been halfway expecting it. Tell me, how'd you find it?
Your application for a Coast Guard pass. Check the fingerprints on it.
Well, yeah, but you didn't have anything to compare them with, did you?
Well, when you applied for that permit to carry a gun, we got a set of your prints. They went out with the missing persons bulletin on you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Washington matched up the prints and sent the information along to us.
Yeah, it's all right. Sure handed to you fellas. I thought I was pretty smart covering up.
Well, how about it, Mr. Jarrett? I mean, taking off like you did, don't you figure that maybe you have a little explaining to do?
Yeah, imagine I do. You smoke?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir, I'd like one. Here, I got a match right here.
Well, there's no need to tell you. You've had a lot of people worrying over you.
I don't think there are too many. My secretary, maybe, right?
Well, yes, sir.
Look, I realize you men know your business. I know I don't have to remind you, but I just like to make it clear.
What's that?
I know a little bit of the law, and I want you to understand this. If you should tell anyone where I am, I'd consider it an invasion of my personal rights, okay?
Any way you want it.
Maybe you can't figure out my disappearing the way I did, but I think you know that legally I've done nothing wrong. I've respected the rights of the law, and now I want the law to respect my rights.
Yes, sir, it's fine with us, Mr. Jarrett. Just one thing.
Yes, sir?
We've chased down quite a few blind alleys on this thing. That false suicide that you staged, the gun, the letter. Do you think that maybe that earns us an explanation?
I'm sorry about the legwork, believe me. You can hear the story if you want to, short version or long. Which one?
Any way you want to tell it.
Uh-huh. You met my family, have you?
Yeah, we have.
My wife?
Yes, sir.
My son, Keith?
Yeah.
My daughter?
Yes, sir.
Then you know what they're like. My wife's been an alcoholic for 8 years. Why be polite? She's a drunk. My son's a tennis bum. There's no other word for that. My daughter?
Yes, sir.
You know it as well as I do. 2 divorces, different boyfriend every week. You might as well be walking the street.
I worked hard for my family, Sergeant. I was proud of them once. What would you do if they turned out the way they had?
I don't think I could say, Mr. Jarrett. I don't know your family that well.
There's a good reason you don't, Sergeant. I paid a lot of money to keep them off the front page. One jam after another. Scandal, 10 years of it. Covering up for them. I got tired of it. Dead tired. Maybe I'm just getting old. You men care for a cold bottle of beer?
No, thank you, sir.
Well, there's nothing more to tell, officers. I worked most of my life for my family. I've had 3 vacations in 20 years. I tried to do everything I could for them. They're rotting apart, Sergeant, all 3 of them. I didn't want to stand around and watch them rot. That's why I left.
I see.
They each have their own trust fund. They'll be taken care of.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess it's none of my business, Mr. Jarrett, but do you think that you might have been to blame, maybe? Your children, I mean?
I don't know. Maybe. If I made the mistakes, I guess I'll pay for them. It's not much from changing your life when you're 52 years old. Gets lonely sometimes. Pretty lonely.
Well, what are you going to do now, do you know?
Sail around, I guess. Take the Blanchess down to Mexico, all around, do some fishing. It's lonely sometimes. I'll get used to it. Say, you men wouldn't like to stay on board for dinner, would you? I'm even learning to cook.
No, thank you, Mr. Jarrett. Guess we better start getting back, huh, Joe?
Yeah, yes, we have.
Well, thanks very much for dropping by, officers. Sorry about that extra legwork I caused you. Oh, here.
What's this?
$2 for the rent of the rope.
Glad you met you, Jarrett. Good to you.
Same to you, Friday. Goodbye.
Bye, Mr. Jarrett.
Watch your step there now.
Yes.
Yeah, we got it all right, I think.
There you go. Okay, Joe, come ahead.
All right. Passed off your line, boy.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Mitchell. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck to you. Nice fellow, that Mr. Mitchell, huh?
Yeah.
Strange one, huh, Joe?
Oh, I don't know. He seems pretty happy. Must have been pretty rough on him.
Yeah. What's it prove?
It's no crime to get lost.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On April 19th, a final report was filed by officers investigating the disappearance of John Keith Jarrett. In a moment, the results of that report. After a complete investigation by officers into the case, it was found that John Keith Jarrett had acted within his rights. Legally, for the officers to disclose his whereabouts would have constituted an invasion of privacy. 3 years ago, unknown to his family or friends, John Jarrett died and was buried anonymously. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
My name is Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The Too Many Mrs. Rogers.
7th Street, near Olive. That's where it stands, downtown L.A. Cosmopolitan Building. A big chunk of granite poking its way up through a parking lot. That's where you'll find International Detective Bureau, Suite 308. A good bargain counter if you're shopping around for trouble. Anthony J. Lyon, the guy I work for, pays the rent. Can't be very much. Sunlight and those office walls have never said hello.
The Cosmopolitan building. An air shaft runs right up the middle of it. Suite 308 is wrapped around that ventilator like a donut around a hole. Figures that the Weather Bureau ought to run a separate survey on that office. Because we get all the blow-by from the Acme Incense Company 3 doors down the hall. Los Angeles smog had come in second best if they knew about it. Well, it was last Tuesday, the day that Cleveland won the pennant, that I walked in. The Lion was there pecking around on that same old Remington. Somebody'd broken the period key, but he didn't seem to mind. He talks in commas anyway. I don't know who he was writing to, but there were a couple of cereal box tops at his elbow and a contest blank. He was writing something about why I feed my children your breakfast food. The Lion's a bachelor.
Regan, who do you know in Battle Creek, Michigan?
Jack Armstrong.
I may win this contest. Here's one for you to fill in.
No, I don't eat breakfast.
This is different. I got it as a case. Here's the address. Hinkle and Hinkle.
Well, they make pills.
It's a funeral parlor, one of the best in town.
I'm healthy.
I want you to be very careful how you talk to these people.
Who, the customers?
Hinkle and Hinkle, father and son. They got a fine establishment, and all the best people go to them for the final right.
Well, I'm fresh out of Shroud.
They got problems, Hinkle and Hinkle have.
What's the trouble?
Hop over there and they'll tell you.
I'd rather get it from you.
Regan, I can't do that.
Why?
You've read our business card. Anything told to an international man is in the strictest confidence. I wrote that and won't double-cross a client.
Well, that's a new twist for you.
What do you mean?
Every day you dump these phony cases in my lap and I go out on them. All I do is play tag with homicide.
You won't get caught.
A lot of canned tuna felt that way.
You know I take care of you.
That's what I don't like.
Hinkle and Hinkle are expecting you right now.
Yeah.
Jump in your car and get over there.
What do I say to them?
Just say hello. They'll pick it up from there.
You know, someday I'm going to quit.
If you do, you'll starve.
So what?
You'll still wind up at Hinkle and Hinkle. Well,
the place was on Hope Street near Washington Boulevard. You couldn't miss it. A 2-story building, painted a battleship gray that sort of crouched at the curb. It had a square pimple for a door and flanked on each side by a brass angel. They were a dirty green color. I figured that one of the Hinkles could have been a little more eager with the metal polish. The glass door was draped with white satin, and it fluttered as I walked in. The hall was quiet. There was enough marble inside to make the Bank of America jealous. Another angel, this time with the wings folded back, was pointing toward the reception room. I followed directions and moved on. It smelled like the bargain matinee at the Roxy. Over in one corner was a vase of tired-looking flowers, trying real hard not to be cheerful. A little guy in a black serge suit was floating around the room with an atomizer filled with perfume. The whole place was about as inviting as a maiden aunt's kiss. The little man didn't even look at me. He just kept squirting. He couldn't put the perfume people out of business, but I figured he had them working nights. Your name, Hinkle?
As soon as I finish.
Yeah, well, that might take months. That's a big bottle.
Don't you just adore this scent?
What's the matter? Aren't the flowers working?
They're paper. Now then, sir.
I asked first.
Yes, I am Jason Hinkle.
Aren't there two of you?
Gerald?
Did you call, Pa?
Just showing this man the other Hinkle.
Oh, hi.
Now then, I believe that you'll find we can make all the necessary arrangements.
Save the commercial. Nobody's dead.
Oh, that's too bad. This week we're having a special at a greatly reduced rate.
Well, I figure I got a few more years. Now, look, didn't you want to see me?
Oh, you from Atlas.
Who?
Atlas Casket Company. We have plenty on hand. Penicillin has practically ruined our business.
My name's Regan. I'm with International.
Oh, of course. You're the Lion's Eye. I'm glad you got here.
Well, tell me, and we'll both be happy.
Hey, Pa, he don't look so tough.
What you do, Buster? You scare me.
I'll bet I could break in the middle.
Never mind, Gerald. I'll have to apologize for him. He lifts weights.
He'd have to carry that head around.
Just say the word, Pa.
Gerald. Now, Mr. Regan, if you'll step in the back room.
All right.
I have to be careful about Gerald. He's just a junior partner.
He ought to be the silent one.
He didn't learn to talk till he was almost 9.
I paid him for 6.
Drink, Mr. Regan.
No, thanks. I stopped drinking that stuff in 32.
Oh, you mean the formaldehyde label. Yes, I have to hide it from Gerald.
All right, now we've been through the family album. What's the job?
Do you know a Mrs. Rogers?
The phone book's full of them.
Mrs. Rogers has been most unfortunate. Poor dear woman, they were married such a short time, and they were ecstatically happy.
Her husband die?
She lost him 3 days ago. Hinkle and Tinkle are handling the last rites. Poor Mrs. Rogers. She's so young.
She want a shoulder to cry on?
Mrs. Rogers wished her husband taken to the family plot in La Jolla. We're finishing the limousine, and she's requested someone to accompany her.
I'll try a Pullman Porter. They like to travel.
This whole thing has most unusual aspects. Mrs. Rogers thinks she needs protection.
We could send Gerald.
She'd still need protection. No, Mr. Regan, she wants you.
She paying for this?
I believe Mr. Lyon has her check.
Okay. That all you got to tell me?
Mr. Regan, we only handle the dead.
Well, they don't need protection.
That's what they said about King Tut.
Hinkle gave me her address. It was over near Westlake Park. It was one of those new modern apartment houses painted an elephant pink. It was around 6 o'clock when I rang the bell. While I waited, I tried to figure this protection angle. I thought maybe I could talk her out of it and wind up the whole thing right here. I kind of figured that she was just upset and needed a man around. When she opened the door, I knew I was right. You could see she was in mourning. She was wearing black lipstick. She was tall and thin, with long blonde hair. She made Mr. Peabody's mermaid look like a beginner. Right then, I knew that this case was about as much on the level as the city of San Francisco. She needed protection, all right, but so did I. When she said hello, it melted all over you like honey on a hot biscuit.
You're standing in a draft.
Well, it's a warm night.
Well, come in.
You, Mrs. Rogers?
That's right.
My name's Regan.
The man from International. You're more than I paid for.
Well, prices are coming down.
Well, come over here where we can talk.
I got a big voice.
Well, sit down. You act like you're afraid of me.
Well, I didn't think it showed.
Oh, yes. You're just exactly what I wanted.
I used to be with an escort bureau.
Well, then this should be part of your service. I'll bet the bureau went broke when you quit.
No, but I left them in a hole.
Relax, Mr. Regan. It's early.
Now, look, lady, we can play musical chairs some other time. What do you want?
Why worry? You're getting paid.
Yeah, but this kind of stuff won't buy food.
I'm lonely.
Do your act in the Coliseum. It'll be a sellout.
You're practically a crowd.
That's what they say about 3.
No, it's just you and me.
With a dead man in between.
Never mind Victor. He's my problem.
Not anymore. Come on, lady. This is a fat blister. Let's break it.
Slow down, Mr. Regan.
Maybe that's what happened to Victor.
All right. If you don't want to play my game, let's play yours.
That's why you hired me.
You know about my husband's coffin?
Hinkle's having a sale.
It's in the next room now. The limousine will be here in the morning at 8 sharp. We're going to La Jolla.
Hinkle knows that much.
And that's all you need to know.
All I need or all I get. Light up, lady. I don't like the dark.
It's a simple job. You go with me on the trip.
Not enough.
All right, I'll give you a bonus.
How much?
$1,000.
It's just a whisper.
That's $10 a mile between here and La Jolla.
I get car sick. Now, what has to get there besides Victor?
A star sapphire as big as the moon.
That good?
Huh. Needs sunglasses to look at it.
Well, why didn't you tell me?
I want that ring to get there on his finger.
Don't worry, I don't have a fence.
Victor's will said he must be buried with it on.
Oh, yeah, you got tears in your eyes.
That's what he wanted, and that's what he'll get. Other people know about that ring. Victor wouldn't want to lose it this late in the game.
I'm the nurseman.
That's right. When I said I'd do to Victor in Yuma 1946, I promised him.
The trip to La Jolla?
I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8. Until then, get out.
That bonus still good?
If that ring gets to La Jolla?
I'll see that it does.
Aren't you afraid somebody might steal it?
No, Letty. You'll ride with me. Well, I began to get an uneasy feeling, like a steer on the way to Kansas City. I left Helen Rogers and walked outside. There wasn't much traffic. It was a warm night, and all the canoes in Westlake Park were full. I headed for an all-night coffee spot on the corner. If I'd have taken one more step, I'd have been in the back seat of a new Nash convertible with the top down. There was a brunette with long black hair in the driver's seat. She was thin and figured to be tall the way she was wrapped around the wheel. There were 2 things different. She had bright red lipstick, and her hair was black. She was wearing a dress the color of a boulevard stop, and she flipped the right door open. One look at her, and you knew that Dallas was wrong about their women.
Want a lift, soldier?
No, I only got a weekend pass.
Plenty of time. You can go AWOL.
No, I'm bucking for sergeant.
Get in, and I'll tell you about the atomic bomb.
Short ride?
No, I think a long.
Okay, I'll buy the gas.
Won't have to, Mr. Regan. I've got a credit card.
Now, don't tell me you're lonely.
You're in trouble.
What kind?
Bad client.
Why?
You should be working for Mrs. Rogers.
That's who signed the check.
I'm Mrs. Rogers.
That blonde's got a license to prove it. Yuma, 1946.
I've got priority, Mexico City, 1942.
No divorce?
Victor was a poor Boy Scout. He could only tie one knot.
He went for the chorus line.
And played for keeps. And I loved him. Helen didn't.
How do I know?
I don't care if you do.
All right. What do you want with me?
I'm his wife, his first one, his real one. We had some sort of life together before the scenes changed. It's my job to bury him.
That all?
That's all.
The corkscrew. Straighten it out, sis.
I'm telling you the truth.
You left out one item. Tell me that sapphire's got nothing to do with the affection.
It hasn't.
That's what the other Miss Rogers said.
She's a liar.
A blonde one.
She'll run out of bleach.
You're trying too hard.
I'm telling you, Regan, I'm not going to sit by and do nothing.
I believe you. You're letting your fingernails grow. Well, the brunette's name turned out to be Catherine Rogers. She gave me her number, but I wasn't buying. I felt kind of confused, like a polar bear in Palm Springs. Catherine didn't have any more, so she let me off in a corner, and I doubled back to the first Mrs. Rogers' place. It was about 20 minutes later when I rang Helen's bell. No answer. The door was unlocked, so I went in. The room was dark, except for the neon sign outside the bedroom window. I could see Victor Rogers' coffin banked up with flowers. The biggest blossom was already wilted. It was Helen. She was lying on the floor, and her fire was out. Well, I went back to the living room to call homicide. Then I smelled taboo perfume. She made a real good reflection in the mirror behind me. This one was a redhead. She had long hair. She was tall and thin enough to slip under the door. She had a little hand, but her finger could reach the trigger of the gun that she had in my back. I couldn't tell too much about her, but if I'd known her in college, my homework would have suffered.
Don't make a date. You're not going to make it.
She'll wait.
It may be forever. Hang it up.
Did you do the job on the blonde?
Maybe.
Too many going for that sapphire.
Maybe.
Which one are you?
Rita.
Where'd he find you?
South America.
Different places, different girls.
That's it.
You'd make a good advance man for the United Nations.
Just the female department.
All right. When did you win your letter?
Havana, 1944.
You're right in the middle.
No, you are.
Well, the Andrews sisters did all right.
I want to duet with you.
I'll sing off key.
That's all right. It's a style.
No music.
You're not listening hard enough.
Well, South America took it away. When I came out of it, I was all head, like tapped beer in a cheap saloon. The room was full of homicide. They must have got a hotshot call, because they were all there. All I could see was the seats of their pants. I picked out the shiniest pair, and I knew it was Sergeant Sanducci. He was standing over me with a notebook. The way he was sucking on that pencil, I figured he must have been a lollipop man in his youth. Everybody was there. All the newspapers. The fingerprint men were dusting everything. I had about as much chance as a Christmas tree salesman in July. Sanducci leaned into me.
Borderline anemia?
Oh. Huh?
Kind of tired?
Yeah.
Anybody would get tired lugging a heavy gun.
What gun?
This 38. It pushed a hole in that blonde.
That's not mine.
Who cares? The hand is yours. That's where we found it.
Hey, Sanducci, let me shoot a picture of the eye, will you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Look happy, Regan.
I got a bad smile.
Oh, we'll retouch it. Good. Now look like a killer.
That's enough.
Oh, come on. Let's see your teeth.
Beat it, punk, or you'll spend the rest of the night picking yours up.
How do you like that for gratitude?
Okay, Regan. Now, why'd you do it?
You tell me.
I'm working on it.
You're out of your mind. I blow a hole in it and crack myself on the head?
I'm working on that, too.
We're working a redhead named Rita Rogers.
I'm going steady.
She rapped me. It's her gun.
You're forehead is wet.
Work on a brunette named Catherine Rogers. She's grubbing around, too.
I told you I already got a date.
You couldn't see a frame in a picture gallery.
We walk in and find a warm blonde in a deep freeze. You're lying there with the murder gun in your hand and you're yelling Patsy. What were you doing here?
I was on a job. Out in Washington. They sent me over here. I was supposed to go to La Jolla with that blonde.
On Lion's time?
I said it was a job. She was taking her dead husband down to the family plot. She was worried about a sapphire ring. Look in the coffin, you'll see.
We already did.
Well, what'd you find?
Air. The coffin was empty.
You are listening to the story of the Too Many Mrs. Rogers, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve. If you're a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. These commissions are still available, and those who meet the high standards and qualify with this fine organization may elect active or inactive status. If you believe you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now back to the story of the Too Many Mrs. Rogers and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, I had about as much chance as a snowball in a Turkish bath. The Lion sends me to a funeral parlor run by two guys named Hinkle and Hinkle. They banked me off to a blonde, Mrs. Rogers, who wants protection taking her husband's body to La Jolla. He's being lowered with a star sapphire on his finger. Everybody's scrambling for it. But Victor Rogers was a collector of long-legged ladies, and the blonde turns out to be just a single in the crowd scene. There's two other Mrs. Rogers, a brunette and a redhead. You can't tell one from the other without a program. The next thing I know, the blonde is dead. I'm holding the murder gun, and an alibi as full of as many holes as a piece of cheesecloth. There's no star sapphire, no body in the coffin, and Sanducci of homicide is pounding away at me. Well, the police finished in the blonde's apartment. The prints were lifted, and the gun was wrapped. It was Sanducci all the way.
Come on, Regan, say why.
You're pressing.
I just work hard.
You got nothing.
You'll be saying that in the chamber.
You're bluffing.
How you figure?
The setup's so strong, even you can smell it.
I got sinus.
Well, you're not taking me in.
Well, who said I was?
Let's see.
We'll be around for you when we're ready.
Retirement will set in first.
I'll sign for another hitch.
Look, if you got to keep beating your head against the wall, come over to my place.
What for?
It's brick. I left Sanducci still chewing his pencil and headed back for the office. I knew homicide wouldn't let the matter drop, so I wanted to see if maybe the Lion could do me any good. I didn't have any supper, but somehow I'd lost my appetite. When I walked in, the Lion was still working on that contest blank. He was keeping late hours, and the only reason he doesn't go to his hotel room is he gets a reduction in his weekly rate if he doesn't sleep in the bed.
Regan, where you been?
Dating Sanducci.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
How many times have I told you to watch that staff?
Well, you never check before you send a guy out on a job.
What have you got?
Well, she's beautiful.
What else?
She's dead.
That's no way to run a business.
You got your advance.
I was thinking of public relations.
Oh, stop it, will you? Somebody mentions dough and you're there with a basket.
That's enough. Let's drop this case.
Not until the wind dies down.
I got another job for you.
I'm still with the old one.
The case is closed.
Oh, I'm opening
You
it.
do as you're told.
Now, listen, Big Shot. You eased me in on that hook. Now, let's see you work backwards.
Regan, you're getting out of line.
Get a trace on Catherine and Rita Rogers.
Who are they?
A brunette and a redhead.
What else?
Victor Rogers' wives.
What about Helen?
His record broke on I Do.
Well, get going and clear this thing up.
Would you like to give it a whirl?
Regan, don't you like working for me?
I'll answer that when we both got more time. Well, I left the line, picked up a cup of coffee and a sandwich, and went home. Then I tried to figure the mess. A guy with 3 wives drops dead and is going to be buried with a fortune on his finger. All the hens start clawing around. That figures. One of them gets the axe. I happen him. A setup for a patsy. That figures. But what doesn't is why is the coffin empty? Somebody pulls a knockoff to grab a sapphire and takes the stiff with it. Oh, I was getting nowhere, like a pickpocket in a nudist colony. The next morning, I was back on Embalmer's Row, Hinkle and Hinkle. I went inside. The little guy in the black suit and his son were standing in the entrance hall. Old Hinkle came toward me kind of slow, like an ant with a super chief in tow.
You're back so soon, Regan. Everything all right at Mrs. Rogers?
Your business is picking up.
I don't understand.
Neither do I. You fell it in.
Now, there's no use taking that belligerent attitude.
Now, listen, you. I played Patsy long enough.
Hey, Pa, shall I mash him?
You heard Gerald, Regan. Now, get your paws off of me quick.
Oh, we're backstage now. Your grease paint's off.
I don't know why you came back here. We don't know anything about it.
That's your version.
Look, Regan, I'm going to try to let you down easy, so pay attention. You were called on a routine job. We played our part, now you play yours. Take that trip to La Jolla.
We're going to need a bigger car now.
I told you all I know. Now beat it.
Homicide wants somebody. I'm going to give him you.
You're on a treadmill.
That's all right. It's slowing down.
I'm tired of this small talk, Regan. Now get out of here before I sick Gerald on you.
Is that all you got to offer?
That's it. Now blow.
Okay. Next time I'll bring homicide.
Just won't give up, will you? Gerald?
Yeah. How do you want him, Pa? Broken too?
You handle it. I'll be in the back room.
Fist or gun butt, Pa? Hold still. You should be glad Pa didn't say fist. It's harder. See? Oh. I dreamed about you last night, Regan.
Must have been something you ate.
I dreamed I broke you in two.
You're still walking in your sleep.
You say funny things, Regan, but your face don't go with it.
Get away from me, you big ape.
I seen a clown in a circus once. He had a big red nose like this. Oh. And he didn't have no teeth. And he had little teensy eyes way back in his head. Oh. Yeah, you make a swell clown now.
I was getting nowhere, like a skyrider in a high wind. Gerald must have got tired. He stood over me grinning like a Notre Dame gargoyle. I tried to get up a couple of times, but it would have been easier to get to Ohio on a pogo stick. I kept wondering if he'd ever quit when the front door opened and Catherine, the brunette Mrs. Rogers, came in. She had a .32 in her hand and she leveled it at Gerald.
Stop it!
We're going to the circus.
Stop it or I'll kill you!
All right, you heard her.
What about the circus?
Come here, you. There ought to be a place for you in the sideshow.
I got tired waiting for you to come to me.
Yeah, thanks.
Shall we go where we can talk?
What do you want?
You.
So did Junior here.
My hands are softer.
Your gun isn't.
You can hold it.
It's not good enough.
Still don't trust me?
No.
We'll go in your car.
Oh, it gets better.
We'll go to your place.
Okay.
You won't be sorry.
Why?
Because I'm going to help you, Regan.
You just did, lady. We left Hinkle and drove up Washington to Vermont and then north toward Hollywood. Above Beverly, we had to detour for the freeway coming, and it made me kind of mad. I'd been detouring since the beginning. Well, she didn't say much, and I tried to figure. The last time I saw her, she gave me a choke act about being the only one who ever loved Victor. And the next thing I knew, I was set up like pins in a bowling alley, and Sanducci was going for 300. We pulled to a stop in front of my place and went in. Inside, there was company. She wasn't invited. But the red-headed Rita, the South American bombshell, was lying on my bed. Somebody had set her off. She was dead. This the kind of help you mean?
I didn't know she was here.
Oh, come off it. You're not Bergman.
I didn't.
She's past convincing.
I'm talking to you.
So am I.
Regan.
No go, lady. You knocked her off, got me over here, worked the gun into my hand.
No.
You did the first job, too. You let me out of your car, doubled back to Helen's before I got there and fogged her.
No, you're wrong.
Right me.
I did double back to Helen's apartment and got there before you.
Looking for that sapphire.
Looking for a showdown on Vic's burial. It was my job.
You said that before.
We argued.
Pulling hair.
I didn't touch her.
Go on.
When I left, Rita was coming up the stairs. She didn't see me. I stepped into the shadows and watched her go into Helen's apartment. They began screaming. I looked in and saw Rita kill her. Then I heard someone coming and ran.
That'd be me, huh?
Yes.
Moving in to play Patsy.
And I heard the police thought you did it.
That's right.
So I looked for you.
Tell that to homicide.
I will.
You make it sound good.
It is.
Cleans up one, but you're not through.
Why?
It's a double-header. Who killed Rita?
I don't know.
What happened to the sapphire?
I don't know.
Where's Victor's body?
What do you mean?
It's not in the box. Oh, sure. Wind it up and make it good.
I don't know.
The wrong pitch.
You still don't trust me.
Not until you clean up the rest, no.
She can't, Regan. I've got the broom. Nice of you to remember, Catherine.
How do you remember?
I got a card file.
You can throw away some pages.
That's what I figured. I've been tagging after the two of you for some time.
So you're Victor. Well, it's beginning to clear. You got Hinkle to help you play dead.
Tell me why.
You tell me.
I'm moving up in society. I have to unload.
Oh, yeah, it all figures. You're dead, the wives start working for the loot. In the scramble, they take care of each other. The redhead gets the blonde. You get the redhead.
And take care of what's left. Now, let's close the book.
Victor's aim was good. Catherine went down. Sanducci got Victor from the bedroom window. His sapphire ring caught the light as he sprawled on the floor, and then Sanducci climbed in off the fire escape. Catherine's hair was still long, but she wasn't tall anymore.
Regan.
Yeah, baby.
Victor.
He's through.
He was no good.
Yeah.
But I loved him.
Uh-huh.
We should have met sooner. So long, soldier.
That's it, Regan.
Yeah.
She seemed like a nice kid.
Yeah. It's going to be a long trip, but she'll make it. Well, that was it. Victor was ambitious. He was moving up in society and couldn't stand a bigamy scandal. His brain worked overtime cooking up that dish. He rigged it with the blonde Helen at first, but she got it right off from the redhead, and that didn't make him cry. Took care of one. When the redhead came over to my place, Victor tagged her and put her away there. 2 down, and I'm the fall guy. Then he waited for the brunette so he could finish the game. Oh, yeah. Vic was a busy fella, but he ran out of breath. Well, Sanducci put my place back in order, and nothing was left of the girls with the long hair but dandruff. I called the lion. He was mad. A whole day shot without adding a mark to his bank account. Well, Sanducci and I both came up with the same question. All 3 of those women were beautiful. I wonder if they'd all gone for Victor if they really knew. That star sapphire was a phony.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan, with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. Jeff Regan, Investigator, written by Larry Roman and D. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy, is heard each week at this time over CBS. Tonight's cast included Grace Lennard, Gloria Blondell, Laurette Philbrandt, John Hoyt, Jack Petrucci, Paul Frees, and David Ellis. If you're a graduate registered nurse, please listen carefully to this important message. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. For the first time in history, qualified nurses have the opportunity of receiving commissions in the regular Army Reserve. These nurses will remain on inactive status, ready to serve their country in time of emergency. For further information, drop a card to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
About to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a homicide detail. A potential killer is on the loose in your city. He's robbed 6 people. For no reason at all, he beats his victims senseless. He moves fast. He's well armed. Your job, stop him.
You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima for a new year of greater smoking enjoyment.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, March 8th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the record bureau. It was 11:45 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Joe?
Hi, Bill.
Romero called about 5 minutes ago. He's on his way in from Georgia Street.
Oh, thank you. The captain still around?
He's gone for the night. You can catch him at home if you want to. Trouble?
The rattlesnake bandit. Got 2 more couples tonight.
Right. Bad?
About the same as the last 3 jobs he pulled. Pretty vicious. Gave the victims a bad going over.
Who are they?
The young salesman and his girlfriend. They were parked up in the Silver Lake area. Bandit robbed him. When he didn't find enough money in the young fellow's wallet, he pistol whipped him, messed him up quite a bit.
Why'd he do that?
Oh, there's no reason for it. The young girl in the car had an engagement ring on. She offered to hand it over. The bandit pulled her out of the car, punched her in the face, hit her quite a few times. Guy just seems to be looking for blood, that's all.
No leads on him, huh?
No, not so far. It looks like I'm out. Have you got any aspirin, Bill?
Yeah, I got a fresh bottle this afternoon.
Lousy headache. I've had it all night.
How about the thief's M.O.? The same, huh?
Well, it has been so far. He works the outlying districts, parking areas. Doesn't seem to be any reason at all for these sluggings. The victims all agree on that. No provocation at all. The guy just seems to get a kick out of punching in somebody's face.
2 pills in it?
Oh, yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Boys in robbery turn up anything?
No, neither have we. Bandit operates in hot cars. He's got a few good prints to work with. No make, though.
Guy works alone, huh?
Well, he did for the first 2 jobs. Last few times he had a bright-looking blonde with him. Good-looking, you know, nice figure. Victims say that she stands by and just seems to egg him on. Seems to get a big thrill out of it, I guess.
Hi, Bill. Joe? Hi.
How'd you do, man?
Doctor didn't think it'd be a good idea to bother him too much tonight. We can talk to him tomorrow.
Well, how about the hold-up man's description? Did you get that?
Yeah, from the girl. Matches what the other victims gave us. She didn't see the getaway car, though. Didn't have a chance.
Well, how about the young fella? Is he still unconscious?
Yeah, they're going to move him to the county hospital. You should have seen his face. Yeah? Terrible. It's a mess. This bandit's girlfriend, the blonde, nothing at all on her? Victim says she's got a nice figure, good looking. Quite a few like that in Los Angeles. What are they getting out of these stick-ups anyway? Can't be too much, huh?
Oh, that's just it. None of the heists have netted them more than $50. Hardly worth the trouble.
Hot shot.
I'll get it.
What is it?
Wait a minute. Rattlesnake bandit. He got another couple.
Where?
South end of Echo Park.
Yeah?
He shot both of them. Together with Cummings and McCready from Homicide, Ben and I drove to the scene of the holdup and shooting in the Echo Park area. The victims were identified as Ralph Younger, 34, a high school English teacher. He'd been beaten severely about the face and neck and shot once through the right shoulder. His companion was Thelma Donovan, 26, a grade school teacher. She'd been shot through the temple just above the eyes. She was still alive, but in a critical condition. We questioned Ralph Younger briefly before he was removed by ambulance to the Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. His description of the hold-up man tallied exactly with that of the rattlesnake bandit. He also gave us the description and license number of the getaway car. We got out a broadcast and an APB. A routine check of the area failed to turn up any leads. 11 a.m. the next morning, Ralph Younger told us the story from his hospital bed.
I was teaching Thelma how to drive, Sergeant. We were going along that side street when the sedan pulled up, forced us over to the curb.
And your friend, Miss Donovan, was sitting in the driver's seat then?
That's right. I got out on my side and started over to ask this fellow what he was doing, crowding us like that. He rushed up to me and started slugging me in the face with his gun. I went down.
Mm-hmm. What did Miss Donovan do?
She started hollering for help. The hold-up guy ran over and shoved his gun at her. He had it pointed at her head. And he grabbed Thelma's purse and started looking through it. For money, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Say, would you mind moving this pillow over a little bit?
Sure, gotcha. Oh, there we are. There, how's that, okay?
Oh, under the shoulder, please.
All right.
Yeah.
There you are.
That's fine. Thanks.
Were you lying on the street while all this was going on, Mr. Younger?
No, he yanked me to my feet, made me stand by the car with my hands up. Thelma was crying. The hold-up man looked through her purse, and then he said, "Who are you trying to kid, lady? You got more money than this." Thelma told him the truth. It was all she had, $3.
So what happened then?
He shoved the barrel of the gun against her head, right here by the temple. Then I heard the gun go off. Thelma fell over in the seat. Wasn't any reason for it. No reason at all. He just shot her.
Well, what did you do then? Do you remember?
I jumped for the man. I wanted to kill him right there. He turned and fired the gun at me, hit me right here, below the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Then he ran out and got in his car and drove off. There was a blonde girl with him. I got a good look at her. Blonde, pretty, attractive.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything else about the man's description that you might have forgotten to tell us last night?
No, I don't think so. I gave you the license number of his car. Can't you find him that way?
It was a stolen car, Mr. Younger. He took it from one of his other victims. It was found out in Wilshire this morning. Abandoned.
I only wish I'd got my hands on him. Poor Thelma. How is she, do you know?
Well, there's no late report. Maybe you better check with the doctor, huh?
Yeah. Hey, before you go, would you mind ringing this button here? It's for the nurse. The shoulder's giving me trouble again.
Yeah, okay.
Well, thanks very much, Younger. Sure hope that shoulder of yours gets better.
I hope so.
Goodbye. We'll be checking with you later on.
Yeah, okay.
Come on, Ben.
Romero? Joe? How'd you do, Bill? Checked with the doctor. Donovan girl's still unconscious. Pretty critical.
Mm-hmm. What'd the doc say? She gonna pull through?
She might. They can't tell yet. One thing's sure, though. What's that? The bullet did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
She's totally blind.
4 days before a bullet from the hold-up gun had blinded schoolteacher Thelma Donovan for life, the rattlesnake bandit and his blonde girlfriend were unknown to the city of Los Angeles. In the space of little more than 96 hours, they'd robbed and slugged a dozen people from one end of the city to the other. In every case, the attacks were just about as brutal and vicious as they were unprovoked. The amount of money taken from each victim was negligible. The only apparent conclusion was that the bandit and his girlfriend were out for blood. That night, despite a citywide alert to all radio cars and patrolmen, the suspects robbed and slugged two more couples between the hours of 10 p.m. and midnight. Between midnight and 1:30 a.m., they got two more victims. 2:30 a.m., Ben and I got back to the city hall, the carpool.
11A, Sixth Spring, 118 Sixth Spring. Meet the officer.
Looks like a place over there, huh?
Mm-hmm. Wonder how McCready and Cummings made out.
I hope they got more than we have. Yeah, this is good right here.
Want to get the radio, Joe?
Yeah, fine. Let's go.
Doggone it, I knew I forgot something.
What's that?
Cigarette, you got any left?
I don't think so. Old pack is all. No, there's one left in here.
No, that's all right. I can't take your last smoke.
Oh, go ahead. There's a machine upstairs by the elevator. I'll get some.
All right. I sure better get these shoes half-soled. I'll be walking around in my stocking feet pretty soon.
You just got them a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Tops are as good as new. Soles of the darn things went just like that. No wonder they had them on sale.
Yeah. In just a minute, I want to get those smokes.
Oh, yeah. Skipper say he was going to stay around?
Until about 2, yeah. He's probably gone by now.
It's a long day. Is there anything in the book?
Just a minute. Yeah, your wife called. I want you to get a refill on that prescription for your little boy.
Oh.
Hiya. How'd you two do?
Nothing. How about you?
Chandler called from robbery a minute ago. Thinks they may have something.
Yeah?
At 211, big service station out on Pico. Holdup man had a blonde in the car with him.
What about descriptions?
Jives pretty well with the guy we're after.
Well, the M.O. doesn't. That thief and his girl haven't tried anything but car holdup since they started.
How'd they manage the job?
Well, you know how they've been operating for transportation. They rob the people, steal their car. When they reach another victim, they transfer to his car. First time they switched that system was tonight.
Hold up on South Hoover, the man and his wife.
Instead of changing over, they stayed in the blue Chevy coupe. Same one they took in the job before that. Up to now, they've used the same hot car in the last 3 jobs.
Sure going to help if they stick with it. What about the gas station attendant?
Well, excuse me, probably Chandler. Homicide, Cummings. Yeah, Glenn. 5 Paul, 389. Right, thanks. They dug up a witness to the gas station job. Suspects drove off in the blue Chevy coupe. License 5 Paul, 389.
Same car, huh?
It stops me. What was the take?
$23. Slugged the attendant, took off. The broadcast's out. Area's been alerted. Nothing yet.
Okay, Ben.
Yep. Sure is growing into a long night.
Yeah, you going to cover, huh, Bill?
Yeah, till Fergie gets back.
Right. Well, we'll be checking with you.
Guy? Homicide, Romero. Yeah. How's that? Yeah, right, thanks. Drugstore on South Fig, 211, slugging. Blonde girl drove the escape car.
Yeah?
5 Paul, 389.
In the next 3 hours before dawn, the rattlesnake bandit and his blonde girlfriend held up and robbed a restaurant and 2 more service stations and made good their escape. For some unknown reason, they continued to use the same stolen car, the blue Chevrolet coupe. By noontime the following day, composite pictures of the holdup couple were drawn up by the crime lab artist from the descriptions given by the victims. The pictures were printed up and given wide distribution throughout the city. The description and license number of the escape car was in the hands of every radio car and patrolman in all divisions. The search was intensified. It got us nothing. The following night and early morning, without even slowing their pace, the suspects added 4 more holdups and sluggings to their credit. One of the victims was Fred Lerner, proprietor of a small lunch counter near 18th and Olive.
I've been held up before, officer, 6 times. Never saw a punk as hard-looking as this guy, though.
You're sure about the description, Mr. Lerner?
Well, he stood just as close as you're standing to me now. Wild look in his eye, waving that gun around. I wasn't taking any chances. I gave him everything.
Well, how much was that?
$18.50.
Well, how about the getaway car? You're pretty sure of the make and the color?
Well, I ran to the door there as soon as they left. Saw him drive off. There's a license. Just wrote it down. It's 5P389. I saw the whole thing. Sure surprised Lois would tie up with a punk like him.
Lois? Who's that?
Well, you know, the blonde who drives the car for him, Lois Hagen.
Well, how do you know that's her name?
She used to be a waitress, worked for my brother. Lois Hagen, blonde. I spotted her right away in that car.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure, Lois. Didn't you know it was her?
7:30 a.m. We put in a call to the record bureau and had them check on the name and description of Lois Hagen. No make, no previous record. With the help of Fred Lerner and his brother, we traced the Hagen girl to a drive-in where she used to work. There, we checked the employment records and got an address on her. 1800 Norwich Drive. Turned out to be a small apartment house in West Hollywood. Ben checked with the landlady while I waited in the car.
Transfer plane 2. 1 KB, transfer plane 2, unit 135.
Well, that's it.
What'd you get?
Talked to the landlady. She's managed the apartment for 16 years.
Yeah?
She never heard of Lois Hagen.
are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. And now, here's an authentic report from Fatima Cigarettes.
1949. Fatima more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. 1950. Another record-breaking year, with more long cigarette smokers insisting on Fatima quality than ever before.
In 1951, enjoy Fatima quality yourself.
Yes, friends, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, plump cigarettes rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Start enjoying Fatima for a new year of greater smoking enjoyment. Insist on Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes.
Tuesday, March 13th. That night and the one following, the Rattlesnake Bandit and his blonde girlfriend, supposedly Lois Hagen, continued their campaign of holdups and sluggings. They robbed 2 liquor stores, an all-night cafe, a cigar shop, and 2 more service stations. In each case, the descriptions of the suspects and their getaway car was the same. Routine investigations got nowhere. Ben and I went to work checking out the thin lead that we had on the girl known as Lois Hagen. After 3 days of pounding the pavement and asking questions, we found 2 former waitresses at drive-in restaurants who had worked with Lois Hagen. Both of them gave us addresses where they thought the Hagen girl had lived at one time. One of them was a phony. It was a vacant lot. The other panned out. It was a rooming house out in the Boyle Heights district. The manager told us that the Hagen girl lived there 2 years before. She told us that as far as she knew, the girl's mother, a Mrs. Ernestine Hagen, still ran a small French laundry on South Hobart Boulevard. We found Mrs. Hagen working in her shop. She was a small, thin woman with gray hair.
Yes, I have a daughter, Lois. What's the matter?
I'd like to talk to her, Miss Hagen. Do you know where we can locate her?
Probably sounds funny to you. I haven't seen my daughter in 2 years.
Well, do you have any idea where she's living, ma'am?
No, she's not much of a daughter. We didn't get along. As I say, 2 years ago we had an argument. She left me. Never wrote a letter. I just don't know.
I see.
I heard she was living in Detroit for a while. I guess she's back here now. One of my lady friends, Mrs. McCormick, saw Lois shopping out in Hollywood. That was about a month ago.
Mm-hmm. How old is your daughter, Mrs. Hagen?
She'll be 20 next month. She looks older than she really is. Won't you excuse me, please? My flat iron back here. I have it heating.
Certainly, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of the composite picture of the girl?
Yeah. Yeah, it's right here.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was getting so late. I have this rush order to get ready by 4 o'clock, officers. If you want, you can come back here. We can talk while I get it out.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. Come on.
There's a chair there, if you like.
Oh, thank you.
Seems I'm always so busy lately. I used to have some fine help. Not so easy to find anymore. This iron seems awful hot. It's all right.
I wonder if you'd mind looking at this picture, ma'am, this one here.
All right. Mm-hmm. Looks something like Lois. You're looking for her, is that it? She done something again?
Well, we're not sure, ma'am. Has she been in trouble before?
I can't be more ashamed of her than I already am. Yes, she's been in trouble before. She was nothing but trouble. My only child. Her father died when she was a baby, but I guess she needed a father. I couldn't do anything with her.
Was your daughter ever in any serious trouble? With the police, I mean?
I don't know, maybe. She was. I didn't hear about it. And I tried to understand her. We never got along. I don't know. This makes me sick to think about it.
Well, how about her friends, Mrs. Hagen? I mean, her recent friends. Do you happen to know any of them?
No. Lois never brought them home. I knew they were tramps. I heard the way the neighbors were talking. Trampy fellas, trampy girls, drinking, doing things. You know, she didn't learn those things at home.
What was Lois' last known address? Do you have any idea at all?
Place in Boyle Heights, the boarding house. Last I heard of Lois, she never wrote a letter. That's another thing.
Yes, ma'am.
She could have had the best education any girl could want. I worked 12 years in the laundry here to give it to her. I sent her to the convent. Even the nuns couldn't do anything with her. She only sassed them back. She finally quit altogether. I don't know.
Can you think of anybody who might know where your daughter is? Maybe one of your relatives?
Yeah, we don't have any relatives here. I have a brother in Ohio, that's all. This lace blouse is in an awful lot of trouble. Would you pull out that plug, Sergeant, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I wonder if you have a picture of your daughter that we could borrow. We'll see that it's returned to you.
Yeah, right. I got lots of pictures of Lois. She's a pretty girl, you know. Looks quite a bit like me when I was young.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thanks very much for your time.
Even the nurses at the hospital said it when Lois was born. Beautiful child. Certainly strange, isn't it?
How's that?
When they're babies, they all look so clean and so good.
Yes, ma'am.
What happens to them?
Before we left Mrs. Hagen, we got a photograph of her daughter, Lois, and then we drove back to the office. We spent the rest of the afternoon showing the picture to several of the robbery victims. All of them identified the Hagen girl as the bandit's accomplice. We got out a supplementary broadcast. That night, the holdup couple failed to put in an appearance. The following night, the same. Not a sign of them. Still no sign of the escape car either. Where they might be hiding out, we had no idea. The search went on. Repeated checks through the stats office and the record bureau failed to turn up any new leads. We stayed on it. 4 nights later, the still unidentified holdup man and Lois Hagen started in all over again. 2 drugstore holdups, 2 robberies of couples in parked cars. All of the victims were beaten senseless. Monday, March 19th, 8 a.m.
Joe?
Hi. They turn up anything last night?
2 more jobs. Both victims identified the Hagen girl as the accomplice.
Anything else?
Still using the same escape car. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, we're no closer than we were a week ago, huh?
I checked the hospital on the druggist they slugged.
How's he doing?
I don't know yet. Still unconscious.
I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, Mike. Where? Yeah, right away.
What have you got?
32R. They're out on 18th and Hill.
Yeah?
The holdup car. They just spotted it. 8:20 a.m. Together with Cummings and McCready, we drove out to 18th and Hill, where the officers in Unit 32R had the holdup car staked out. It was parked in the back of a large service station on Hill Street near the corner of 18th. We talked with the manager, and he told us that a blonde girl answering Lois Hagen's description had left the car there earlier that morning just to have the distributor fixed and the battery recharged. She told him that she'd called for the car early that night. Because of the way that the service station was situated, it would have been impossible to stake out on the blue coupe without making it look obvious. We explained the setup to the manager and made arrangements for Ben and I to pose as employees. That way we could keep a close watch on the car until the suspects called for it. Cummings and McCready holed up in a coffee shop directly across the street. 2 teams of men from robbery covered from their vantage points. Ben and I took up our posts as supervisors of the station's 10-minute car wash.
They sure do a great business here, huh?
Yeah. You mentioned to the manager about keeping the area clear around that car, didn't you?
Yeah, it's all set up. We're not going to have an excuse in the world if we miss those 2.
Yeah, if they show up.
What are we supposed to do now? Pull these tickets off the cars as they move off the wash line?
Yeah, that's all. Just slip the tickets in that box over there, see?
Mm-hmm. Must have run them a few dollars, huh, installing all this equipment.
Seems to be paying off, doesn't it? What time you got now?
A few minutes past 4.
Want to smoke?
No, I just put one out.
1 a.m. Ben spotted a young blonde girl turn the corner onto Hill and start up the street toward the service station. As she came closer, she looked to the right and the left. She paused in front of the station, looked on both sides of the street, and then she turned completely around and walked on past.
It's Lois Hagen. She's going right down to the corner. How about it?
Yeah.
I'll put in with you.
How about a tail? We can't just let her walk away from us.
No, just a minute. Take a look.
She's turning around. Coming back this way. She's coming in.
Yeah, we better get back to our car. Looks like it. Come on.
Right.
The young blonde entered the garage office, paid the repair bill, and drove off in the hold-up car. Ben and I followed in 80K. Cummings and McCready tailed us. The blue coupe moved 2 blocks down Hill Street and then turned into an apartment garage. We parked on the street, went in and got the manager out of bed. We showed him Lois Hagen's picture. He told us that she was registered alone in apartment 16. He failed to recognize the description of the hold-up man. McCready and 3 men from robbery covered the front and back exits. Cummings, Ben, and I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor.
Number 16.
Joe, you want to ring it?
Yeah?
Sorry, ma'am.
Bedroom, Bill.
Right, I'll take the kitchen.
Wait a minute, what is this?
Police officers, you Lois Hagen?
You get out of here, let me in.
Bedroom's empty.
Nothing back here.
All right, where is he? Come on, let's have it.
Frank, get out! Cops, Frank, get out!
Upstairs, Joe.
Watch her, Bill.
I got it.
Come on, baby.
Yep. Stairs, Joe. Watching?
Yeah, hold it.
Yep.
Frank, get out! The cops!
Come on down, coppers. Give me room.
Give it up, mister. You haven't got a chance.
Give me room. I'm coming down.
We got the building covered, mister. Give it up.
Look out, Joe. I'll get his gun.
How is he?
Dead.
Joe, Ben, you all right?
Yeah, Bill. You want to take the girl downstairs?
Let me see him, please. Frank.
All right, lady.
Didn't have to happen. I tried to tell him, get away. He wouldn't listen, never listened.
Let's go.
We were married yesterday. You didn't know that, did you? Just married.
Yeah.
Married 2 days.
Yeah, well, the honeymoon's over. Come on, lady.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 5th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Here's an invitation we just received from New York's famous Stork Club. Host Sherman Billingsley asked us to pass it on to you Dragnet listeners who have television sets. It reads, Fatima, best of all long cigarettes, cordially invites you to see the Stork Club on television beginning this week. Well, Dragnet welcomes the Stork Club to the Fatima family. It's a fine television show. You know the Stork Club recommends only the best, and as Sherman Billingsley says, in long cigarettes, that means extra mild Fatima. You can judge that yourself, just as I have, by comparing Fatima with other long cigarettes. Buy a pack of Fatimas. You'll find they now cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality.
The body of the dead hold-up man was identified as that of Frank Ralston Kilbride. His accomplice, Lois Hagen, was tried and convicted on 6 counts of armed robbery and assault with a deadly weapon. She received sentences as prescribed by law and is now serving her term in the state penitentiary for women. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker.
Fatima Cigarettes has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
We the People is next on NBC.
Novak For Hire.
Sure. I'm Pat Novak. For hire.
That's what the sign out in front of my place says. Pat Novak for hire. It's the easy way because down here on the waterfront in San Francisco, you can't afford to wait your turn. If you're going to make a living down here, you got to do everything you can. And you got to be out of the hen house by sunup. Even then, it doesn't work out always because you get trouble tax-free. It's like leukemia. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to duck it. You might as well try to start a conga line in a cathedral. I found that out Monday night when I met an old friend. It was the night before elections, and I was sitting in the office scratching married women out of an old date book when Sam Tolliver showed up. I hadn't seen him for years, but it was a nice, easy meeting. What other way is there when you're good friends?
You look just the same, Patsy.
Yeah. It's good to see you, Sam. Sit down.
Sure. Doing well, I guess, huh?
Oh, you get different stories. Where have you been?
Oh, all the hard luck stops. Syracuse for a while and Joliet. That's where I come from now.
Yeah? That's where they got a big prison.
Uh-huh.
When you came too far, Sam, you should have stopped in Oakland.
Huh?
That's right. If you're out here to play small robber, you better think it over. It's a tough town.
All right, me, Patsy.
I'm not, Sam. But once you start losing them, it's hard to win again. I just thought you might want to know about San Francisco.
Thanks, but you don't have to worry, Patsy. I got a smart streak. I'm here mostly to ask a favor.
Yeah?
Can you spare me one for old time's sake?
Medium-sized. Go ahead.
I want to borrow one of your boats.
Did you come all the way from Joliet to borrow a boat, Sam?
If it's going to hurt that much, forget it.
I just asked. All right. When do you need it? Tonight?
It's to pick up a package in the bay about 9 o'clock.
Sure, I'll run you out.
No, it's a little different, Patsy. I can't make the trip. You'd have to do it for me.
The favor's getting bigger, Sam.
You'd have to pick up the package and bring it back here. I'll be waiting at 10 o'clock. I guess you won't buy, huh, Patsy?
I'm not impressed.
It'd mean a lot to me, Patsy. It really would. And you couldn't get hurt, honest.
Nobody gets hurt, honest. It's the other way I'm worried about.
Well, I wish I could tell you, Patsy, but I can't. You know how it is. Sometimes you can't, but... Well, it's that way now, but... You'd be doing me a real favor and you wouldn't get hurt.
That's what Henry used to tell his wives. All right, Sam. But you put out a bad story.
Well, Patsy, you have to go by the China Star. She's out in the stream. Just tell them you came for that package. They won't ask. Just tell them you want the package.
Yeah?
Talk to the captain. I'll be waiting here at your place about 10 o'clock. And, Patsy, it's important. Don't let anybody else have it.
All right. I'll see you here at 10.
Thanks, Patsy. It's a big favor.
We're old friends.
Yeah. We're old friends. Nothing wrong with them, huh?
No, there's nothing wrong with old friends, Sam, except sometimes they wear out on you. When Sam Tolliver walked out of there, I began to worry. I don't know why, because he was always a good guy. But if you leave good silk out in the ring, it'll shrink. Well, it was too late to change my mind now. I was going to get that package and say goodbye to Sam Tolliver. Only things didn't work out that way. You start with trouble and it never stops. It's like offering to buy aspirin for a two-headed boy. About 8:30, I took a boat and I started out into the bay. Halfway out into the stream, I had to give way to a tanker. After she throbbed by, I picked up the China Star, tied up at buoy 327. It was a broken-down old barge, so old I expected to find Noah hiding out in the bilges. Well, I went aboard, and they took me into the captain's cabin. It was going to be tougher than Sam thought. The old man had some questions, and he was about as smooth as a bag of fingernails. Right away, I got the idea.
What do you want?
I came out for a package.
Who are you?
What good will a name do you?
Who are you?
What do you care, mister? This isn't our dance. Just give me the package and I'll leave.
Keep shouting, tough boy, and when you're all through, tell me your name.
Now, look, I'm not out here to haunt your boat. You got the right face for it. I'm just passing through.
If you're running a small boat, you got papers. Let's see them.
Yeah. You're too handy in your own cabin.
Novak, huh? You a Polak, Novak?
Yeah, and it feels fine. How's it being a pig these days?
Don't get jumpy. I just asked. Who sent you here, Novak?
I'll forget you asked. Just keep the package. I'm going home.
You walk home on the bottom, then. Now, look, Novak, somebody steered you wrong. Maybe it was no questions once, but it's not that way anymore. Just want to keep the book straight. Who sent you?
Sam Tolliver. You need a pencil?
No, that's enough questions. You see, Novak, all you had to do was answer. You can have the package now or talk some more.
I'll take it now. Where is it?
On the desk behind you there.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome, Novak.
The captain didn't like company. When he hit me, I dropped down to the floor like a piece of hard-working lint. The last thing I remember was Sam Tolliver sending me out to this boat. I knew then I had no more business here than second trumpet in a string quartet. I could hear voices and people moving around, but it didn't help much. You can get that kind of service in a tomb. Somewhere along the line, they moved me, because when I woke up, I was lying in a cloud of plateen on a couch in a different cabin. The class of people had improved. She was bending over me with a cold towel and a warm look. And from where I was, she had a figure like a shot of brandy on a winter night. When she said hello, you knew that all you had to do was send up a flare and relax.
Good evening. Welcome back.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
A little used up. I need recharging.
Here, put your head on my lap. There. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Forget the towel. I'll struggle along this way. By the way, whose lap is it?
I'm Ellen Morrow.
Where's your friend?
The captain?
I guess so, the brave guy, Axel Arm.
He's down getting your boat ready.
What's he doing, punching holes in the bottom?
He'll be back in a minute. The package will be ready and you can leave.
No, you keep the package. The last time I got a headache.
I'm sorry about that. It was a mistake.
That's what they told Marie Antoinette. By that time, her head was 40 feet down the street. What's in that package?
It wouldn't help if you knew.
You let me work that out, huh?
Work out the answer then.
How about Sam Tolliver?
Slow down, Betsy.
I'm not going that fast.
You're going the wrong way. I'll help you lick your wounds, darling, but I'm not going to get talky.
What do you got to lose?
What have I got to gain except your gratitude? I can get that any night with a couple of drinks.
How is he, Ellen?
How does he look?
Too comfortable. On your feet, Novak.
Yeah. You ought to rent that out, sweetheart. I'd sign a lease myself.
I'll finish this sweet talk, Novak. You get on your way. Here's the package.
No, I changed my mind about the package. You keep it.
Your boat's ready. Unless you want to get tossed in like a mackerel, take the package and beat it.
What's in it, and where does Sam Tolliver fit?
You asked once already with your head in her lap. You want me to sit down?
Well, you got brains after all.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought they were all in your fists. Yeah, you're still smart.
Take this package. Show him the boat, Ellen.
I'm going to remember you, mister.
Ellen's going to lead you by the hand through the dark. Stop beefing and settle for the simple pleasures.
I will. I'll remember you.
Concentrate on Ellen. You'll get a better memory.
I went out on deck with the girl, and as I got to the starboard side, I noticed her hair for the first time. The way you're liable to suddenly notice a flower after a hard rain. Her hair was red, and as the orange lights of the bridge reflected against it, it seemed like a prairie fire, away down in the valley, flaring up quick and then burning low again. The rest of her would have made a good prairie fire, too. It was the only good thing I could think of on the way across the bay. The water was as quiet as a drowsy caterpillar, and I had a chance to think. Why had they changed their mind about giving me that package, and how wet were Sam Tolliver's feet? Well, it must have been about 11:30 when I pulled into the pier and started on the run for my office. The lights were on, and I burst right in because I had a lot to ask Sam. But it wasn't Sam.
What's your hurry, mister?
I came here to meet a friend.
That's the guy laying in the corner. You don't have to hurry.
No, this isn't my friend.
He doesn't look like one. I'm Sergeant Grimes from Homicide. If you're Novak, you're in trouble.
Why?
A guy lying under your desk, dripping like a broken inkwell, and you trot out a question like that?
Well, it's a bum caper somewhere. I was supposed to wait for a guy named Sam Tolliver.
It might as well have been a streetcar. I'm not going to press you, Novak. I don't care. I'm just going to take you downtown.
Well, this boy quit too late. I've been in the bay the last 2 hours. You can check. I went out there to pick up a package.
The one you got in your arm?
Yeah, it's for a guy named Sam Tolliver.
Let's see.
Okay.
It doesn't say that. It says Mr. John Reedy, 720 Post Street.
I wonder what that means.
Let's find out. We'll take it by Reedy's place.
I got it for Sam Tolliver.
You can buy him another. We're going by Reedy's before we get downtown.
What's the matter with you? Do you want it on an 18-foot screen? I didn't kill the guy. I don't even know him. I don't even know this John Reedy.
Wait a minute, Novak. I believe you. I believe every word you're saying. Except this is one time you'd be better off lying.
When we left my office, I felt as if somebody had walked through my stomach on stilts. Oh, there were loose ends bobbing up everywhere, and you couldn't get to any of them. It was like chasing a spider with a bowling ball. With all this new stuff, I forgot about the ship. Who's going to worry about blood poisoning if he's busy having hemorrhages? I began to wonder more about Sam. Where was he? And how was I going to palm off that dead stand-in? Grimes didn't seem worried. We got into his Nash and headed for 720 Post Street. It was an apartment hotel, and Reedy lived up on the 3rd floor. On the way in, Grimes picked up a key at the desk, and we rode up in the elevator with one of those shifty-eyed little guys who'd sell his mother if he didn't have to fatten her up. When we got to Reedy's door, Grimes took over.
Open up!
Maybe he can't hear you, Grimes.
Nobody home. Let's go in.
Why? We don't know him well enough to sneak in.
I rate a hunch, Novak.
Okay. The light's on your side.
Leave it out. Let's look around.
Okay. The stray bodies belong to you, Grimes.
You go look in that set of bedrooms. I'll check over here in the library. Give me a yell if you see any.
All right.
Two of them. I got one by the desk. The other started down the fire escape. I'm going down in front. Take this gun and stand by the fire escape. He may get trapped and start up, so keep your eyes open.
I walked into the library. The window was open, and the curtains were blowing over the dead man's face. It was a good thing, because you can't split the difference with a service 45. I took him by the heels and dragged him away from the window. His eyes were rolled back as if he expected somebody to tap him on the shoulder and tell him it was all a mistake. His face was contorted and frightened, maybe a little embarrassed, like a deer caught in a traffic jam. Well, I stayed at the window about 10 minutes and watched the fire escape. There was no action there, and Grimes wasn't back, so I started for the door. I had company right away.
Hello, Novak. You move?
Oh, Hellman.
It's a big gun you got.
Well, ask Junior here on the floor. He thinks it's even bigger.
I'll check myself.
Sure, and it's going to be easy because it's right in the family.
Yeah?
Yeah. Belongs to one of your boys down in homicide.
Go ahead.
A sergeant by the name of Grimes steamed in here and knocked down Junior, and then he beat it down to get the other guy.
I don't believe it.
Well, talk to him.
That's why I don't believe it. There's nobody on the force named Grimes. On this one, you're all alone, Novak.
There's got to be a Grimes. The guy had on a uniform.
I don't care if he had on a playsuit, Novak. The guy's a phony. He's not from homicide. He's a killer.
That's what I meant, Hellman. I knew Hellman was right. If Grimes was on the level, he'd have booked me instead of coming up here. He came up to Reedy's with murder in mind. Even if they believed the story about Grimes, I was still in the spot. That made me accessory to murder. And I was going to look worse when Hellman found the guy down in my office. On that one, I had star billing. Oh, everywhere I turned, things were worse. I knew it was going to take a low-budget miracle to bail me out. It was like trying to give nose drops to a herd of elephants. Hellman seemed to like the idea. Hellman rolled the guy, and there was no identification. But he never works for nothing.
A few bucks in the guy. I'll put it in the safe.
The only safe you got has suspenders on it.
I don't like that, Novak.
Oh, you'd do anything for a buck, Hellman. If you got the right bid, you'd sell the tomb of the unknown soldier. Thanks, Hellman. I'm getting a big list tonight.
I can do all of that I want, Novak. Because you're in the corner pocket now.
I got a tip-off from the Chronicle to come up here, and I find you holding last right.
You got a bigger headache, Hellman. There's another stiff down at my place.
Huh?
That's right, Grimes again. He was sitting there when I walked in.
Where were you?
Out in the bay, picking up a package. It's right there on the desk.
What's in it?
I don't know. It was for a friend of mine named Sam Tolliver. He's disappeared, and Grimes brought the package up here.
I'll take it downtown.
You better tag by the China Star. That's where I picked up the package. It's out in the bay, so you'll need a boat. Even a guy with your complex needs a boat.
I'll touch all the bases, Novak. You just stay 10 cents away from headquarters. You can pay your own way into the can.
Yeah, well, that's what'll happen if I wait for you. I'll be standing out in the downpour.
That's right, Novak. If there's a chance, I want to see you get first prize.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be stuck unless I shop around myself because you got lockjaw of the brain, Hellman.
Yeah?
That wouldn't hurt you so much, but if it spreads, you're going to be in trouble. That's what I'm waiting for. Well, if something didn't happen soon, I was going to be about as embarrassed as a hostess with leaky plumbing. I was counting on Hellman to shake down the skipper of the China Star. And if that didn't work, I could close shop. I didn't have any leads. There wasn't anything I could do but sit on my hands. It was like taking your niece to a nightclub. I had to stumble around until something showed. So I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he was all right until he found out sometimes you can feel as bad the next morning without a hangover. I toured the town and finally found him at Lupo's trying to put the vineyards out of business.
Ah, Patsy, you're just in time to start the day off right. Mama Lupo, some wine for Mr. Novak. You can only have a quart. We're running low.
Look, it's almost midnight, Jocko. I got to talk to you.
We're not going to turn into pumpkins. You need some wine.
No, I don't.
Patsy, when you die, the artwork is going to be simple. On your grave, they'll chisel a picture of a pair of slacks, a hamburger, and a double malt.
All right, Jocko.
The final symbols of a decayed civilization, because that's as close as you ever got to civilization, a remote connection at best. Like a bookie, they love horses, but they die on a stock farm. It's the same with you and civilization.
You all through, Jocko?
I won't fight against your sober babble. What's the matter?
There's a dead guy down in my office.
A friend of ours?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. We'll miss the wake.
I'm going to get half hung by homicide. The other half is dead up in a Post Street apartment. Hellman thinks I'm the boy.
Patsy, I wish you wouldn't hang around me when you've just killed somebody. You tarnish my declining years.
I went out to the bay to pick up a package. When I got back to my place, instead of a friend named Sam Tolliver, there was a dead guy there and a phony cop called Grimes.
How do you make the distinction?
He grabbed the package and we took it up to Post Street. After a quick hassle in the dark, I'm standing over a dead guy in John Reedy's apartment.
John Reedy?
Yeah. Do you know him?
Most people do. He's running for office tomorrow. Is he the dead man?
No, I don't think so. What about Reedy?
He's running for a board job.
Yeah? Would anybody have a reason to work a plant on him?
Maybe.
What's he like?
Oh, a sort of liberal by marriage. A reactionary with a rich wife. Supposed to be a good man.
Well, how about the opposition?
Oh, a lot of them are running. One is Simpson. He couldn't beat an asthmatic turtle across a tennis court.
Well, we're getting somewhere at least. If Reedy's good, the gambling dough would frame him to lose.
Yes, if politicians can ever lose. A murder in his apartment would look too phony, though.
Yeah, but maybe that package wouldn't. Jocko, you got to help me. I want you to check on the registration of the China Star and then nose around to find out what you can about tomorrow's election, will you?
If we lived in a monarchy, this wouldn't happen.
That fast double play has got something to do with this election. Now, hurry up, Jocko, and when you're through, tag by my place. I'll call you there.
Have you a bottle in the house?
There's a tap in the kitchen. That'll have to do.
No, thanks. Outside of a child in pain, the most pathetic sound in the world is running water. Good night, lover.
I left Jocko and ducked into a phone booth. When I called Hellman, he poured out news like a rotary press. They broke open that package down at headquarters. It was full of dope. Plain garden variety, the kind a man uses to forget either his wife or secretary. I was sure then the package was a plant on Reedy. Hellman didn't see it that way. He said the two dead men were Gunsels, last addressed before San Francisco State Prison at Joliet. I needled him about that phony cop Grimes. Hellman said they just got a tip-off by telephone. Grimes was an ex-sergeant in homicide whose real name was Vic Rothery. I asked him who phoned in the tip-off, and Hellman said he didn't know the guy. His name was Sam Tolliver. I got out of the Chronicle morgue and looked up everything I could on John Reedy. All politicians' children sit on the floor. There was a picture of Reedy there with his family grouped around him on the floor. I pulled the clips on Vic Rothery. It was Grimes, all right. Well, that gave me something to work on, so I went on the prowl for Ellen Morrow. I found her running a dice game in a little after-hours joint on Eddy Street.
You want chips, Novak?
You don't want to play against yourself? Yeah, give me some.
All right. See how good you are.
Okay.
8's your point.
Yeah. You seen Sam Tolliver?
Make your point, Patsy.
That's it. Where's Sam Tolliver?
5. You're not even warm. You're not warm on Sam, either.
He left me hanging with a murder rap.
Your friend double-crossed you.
He double-crossed you, too.
Another 5. You're in a rut, Patsy.
He turned in Grimes. That's right, baby. They know he's Vic Rothery now. You still like Sam Tolliver?
No. Keep rolling, darling.
Is Grimes your boyfriend?
He used to be. I'm sentimental.
Where's Sam Tolliver?
The Herrick Hotel. When you see him, tell him I sent you.
I will if we talk that long.
There it is.
Hey, come on.
8.
That's right.
I guess I lose, Patsy.
I guess you do. Be seeing you, baby. She changed when I left. The first time out, she was alive and breezy like the Maine coast in July. But now she was broken up and lonely looking. And as I walked out, I thought of an old Dixie cup somebody had used up and thrown in the alley. Well, I got down to the Herrick Hotel, but Sam Tolliver wasn't there. Maybe it was better that way. I left a note for him, a short note that even a Mongolian idiot couldn't trip up on. If Sam was going to show his hand, he had to do it soon. When I got back to my apartment, Jocko was already there. He was giving a concert for the mice.
Oh, she pushed a baby carriage, she pushed a baby carriage in the merry, merry month of May.
All right, Jocko.
She pushed a baby carriage, she pushed a baby carriage, she pushed it for a Williams man who's far, far away.
Oh, stop it, will you?
Patsy, I wish you'd get rid of that radio and buy a good harpsichord.
What'd you find out, Jocko?
Nothing from the China Star. She weighed anchor and went to sea at 11:45.
How about Reedy?
Well, there's heavy gambling money against him. And there's talk about a last-minute scandal. All the newspapers had tip-offs.
Where was he tonight?
At a rally in the Mission District with his whole family.
Well, that'd leave time for a plant. They broke open that package. It was full of dope.
Oh, that makes sense. He was once under treatment for malaria. The drugs found in his apartment would make it look bad.
Yeah, I'll get it. Hello, Novak talking.
I hope so, because you got a lot to do.
What's on your mind, Hellman?
A girl named Ellen Morrow. Who killed her?
Did they?
About 20 minutes ago. Vic Rothery's picture was all over the place.
Yeah, they were chums. You better pick up Sam Tolliver. He's at the Herrick Hotel.
I'd rather have Vic Rothery.
Haven't you picked him up yet?
No, we're on our way out.
Well, you better hurry, Hellman. There won't be any voters left.
I thought Sam Tolliver was a friend of yours.
Well, that's the trouble with close friends. You give them the shirt off your back so they can see where to put in the knife. After Hellman's call, I knew we were coming up for the last hand. I met him, and we rode down to Vic Rothery's hotel. It was early morning, just about the time Dawn is too sleepy to get out of bed. In the pale light, Geary Street looked like a shabby old lady with a snootful, and Rothery's hotel was worse. Hellman flashed a badge on the night clerk, who reached over and handed us a key. It was a funny thing to notice then, but the guy's hands were short, and his fingers were peeled and stained yellow as if they'd been dipped in weak acid. Well, we rode up to Rothery's room. As we got out of the elevator and turned the corner, somebody ducked into Rothery's room. That was enough for Hellman. He started down the hall.
Open up in there.
You got another customer, Hellman.
Open up.
Come on in. You're going to wake everybody up.
Hello, Sam.
Come on in. Don't mind the gun. It's loaded.
You're a handy cop, Hellman.
That's it. I'll close the door. All right, over near the window.
Yeah.
Go on.
Sure. You got an answer for Rothery here?
You too, copper, over near the window.
I ask you, you got an answer for Rothery here?
You're looking at it, mister. You know, Patsy, I'm sorry you came. I could bounce a few off of this guy with no pain at all, but it's going to hurt on you.
Don't kid me, Sam.
I don't know why you came, Patsy. You could have left me alone. I didn't mean to put you in for this. Things went wrong and you were in, that's all, but I didn't mean to do it, Patsy.
Give the man your gun.
You were a good guy to me, Novak. I'm sorry you drew the deuce. I'm really sorry because, well, you were a good guy to me.
Well, I'm not anymore, Sam.
You got 5 feet to make up your mind.
I got it made up, Patsy. Now stay back. Let me try it out on him first.
You've had practice.
Stay back, Patsy. I'm in a hole, and I'll burn my way out. You know that. Patsy, I'm in a hole. I gotta get out.
Don't kid me, Sam. I was your last friend. All you got now is the road.
Stay back, Patsy, please. Patsy, stay back.
Sam,
I must have prayed wrong, Novak.
Yeah. Sorry, Sam. I'm a tough loser.
Yeah. You were right, Patsy. It's a bum town. A small robber.
For a while, you looked big.
Not for long, no.
No. You're a small-time bum, Sam, and you're better off dead.
I wouldn't argue. I'm sorry, though.
I doubt it.
I guess that's right. I didn't try very hard.
How's your friend, Novak?
Let's go. Our friendship's over. Well, Hellman finally pieced it all together. He got that skipper back and put him under the lights. The story was damp, but it fit together. They were all in on a deal to railroad John Reedy. Vic Rothery headed up a bunch to plant the dope in his apartment. But Sam Tolliver got anxious and decided to get the stuff for sale. He talked a couple of buddies into it and sent me out to the ship to pick it up. The captain smelled a switch and knocked me out long enough to get word to Rothery on the beach. Rothery got the guy in my office and the other guy that Sam posted in Reedy's place in case anything went wrong. That left only Sam on the other team. Rothery wore the uniform because it was an easy way to plant the stuff in Reedy's apartment. But the timetable went haywire and he got tripped up by that tip-off call to the Chronicle. That's about the way it was. Well, Hellman asked only one question. How come Sam Tolliver headed for the girl's place and then Rothery's? I don't know. Except maybe that note I left Sam. How'd I know he'd believe a lie? Well, it worked out for everybody except John Reedy. He lost the election anyway. Jocko forgot to mention the guy was a Republican.
Novak For Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States, and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A man crouches on the window ledge of a downtown building 13 stories above the street. He threatens to leap to his death within the hour. Your job, stop him.
You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima for a new year of greater smoking enjoyment.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, September 6th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from communications, and it was 1:28 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
You ready, Skipper?
Yeah, coming.
Ben, what's up?
Just got the call, 3rd and Temple.
Yeah?
Fitzroy building, 13th floor. They got a jumper.
Righty, Grant.
Let's hustle it, right? What's the story?
Skipper took the call.
Not much to tell. Guy's perched out on a window ledge 13 floors up, threatening to jump.
Yeah?
What time you got, Romero?
1:33.
Not much time.
What?
The guy on the ledge, he served notice.
Well, how do you mean?
Says he's going to jump at 2 o'clock.
1:36 p.m. Ben pulled the car to a stop at 3rd and Temple. We double-parked near the intersection and started across the street to the building on the northeast corner. It was a steel frame structure with a block granite facing. The stone lettering over the main entrance read, R.H. Fitzroy Building, 1927. The immediate area had been blocked off in all directions. The sidewalks directly adjacent to the building on 3rd Street and on Temple Street had also been cleared of all pedestrian traffic. Hundreds of curious onlookers jammed against police lines at the far side of the intersection. Reaching back for a full block in either direction, hundreds more had packed in behind them. 13 stories above the pavement was the center of attraction, the figure of a man standing upright on a narrow ledge, looking down at the crowd. On the street directly below him, men from the fire department's rescue squad were hurriedly stretching out nets. We entered the building, took the elevator to the 13th floor.
Who's standing by up here, Skipper?
Bechtel and Wiseman. I saw the crowd gathering in the street on the way back from lunch. Looked up and saw a guy on the ledge. Came right up.
How long has the guy been standing out there?
About 15 minutes.
Sure drawing a crowd. Must be a couple of thousand people down there.
What was that room number, Friday?
1305. Yeah, it's down this way. There's Bechtel.
Beck? Hi. Been watching for you. The office is down here.
Okay. How's it stand now?
He's still out there ready to jump. We got 22 minutes to figure out how to stop him.
What's the story, anyway?
I'll let the doctor tell you. Go ahead. Through here. Nurse, where'd Dr. Turner go?
He went down to meet Dr. Rice. He's bringing him right up.
This is Captain Steed, homicide in Flanagan.
How do you do?
Sergeant Friday Romero.
How do you do?
Nurse, how are you? Here's how he climbed outside, this window here. Yeah. Right now, he's standing on the ledge about 12 feet to the right of the window. The ledge is about 14 inches wide.
No other windows closer to him?
No, this is it.
Did you try to talk him out of it, get him back inside?
We took a turn at it, yeah. Wiseman crawled out on the ledge, talked to him. So did I. One of the queerest jumpers I've come across.
What do you mean?
He's got a hammer with him, carpenter's hammer.
Whenever you get close to him, he takes a cut at you. Wiseman wasn't looking for it, had to duck fast. He almost went over.
Was there any other way to reach him?
Double-check the whole layout. This window's the closest.
What about lowering a man from the roof?
Wide piece of cornice up there, a big overhang. Put a man down on a rope, and he'd be hanging 3 feet from the side of the building. Wouldn't come close to the guy.
How about this doctor you mentioned, Beck? You figure he can help?
It's worth a try. Miss Lenahan?
Yes, Sergeant.
You saw it happen. You know better than I do what Dr. Turner's idea is. Would you fill these men in, please? Make it brief.
Surely.
Now, this man on the ledge, who is he, do you know?
Walter Harrison's his name. He's one of the doctor's patients. His sister brought him in for a routine checkup. That was about 1 o'clock.
How old's the man?
41. His sister told us he's been complaining of a backache lately. While the doctor was examining him, and Mr. Harrison flew up all of a sudden. He yelled out we were trying to cripple him, that we wanted to kill him. Oh, excuse me, please.
Sure.
Dr. Turner's office. No, I'm sorry. Not this afternoon. We have an awful lot of trouble. Yes, all right, thank you.
Well, what happened after Harrison started to act up, Miss Lenahan?
Dr. Turner and I tried to hold him. He shoved us both out of the way. He hit the doctor in the face, then he ran to the window, got out on that ledge, and crawled along the side of the building. He's been there ever since.
Miss Harrison is a mental case?
Yes, he's been for 10 years. Been in and out of the state hospital at Camarillo a couple of times. Sister Ruth's been taking care of him. She was here when it happened.
Where is she now?
Next door, the treatment room. Thelma, that's the other nurse. She's looking after Miss Harrison. She's pretty close to hysterics.
Tried to talk to her, Skipper. Not much help so far.
Mm-hmm. You say the doctor's been treating this, Mr. Harrison?
No, he just came in for a physical checkup. Dr. Reich's been handling his mental condition. That's where Dr. Turner is now, getting Reich. He has his office in the next building.
What time have you got, Ben? It's getting short. 19 minutes to 2.
How about a time element, Beck? If he's going to kill himself, why is he waiting for 2 o'clock to do it?
It's got me. He scribbled a note out there, threw it down to the street. One of the men in the rescue squad grabbed it and brought it up. I got it right here.
Here, let me see. Now, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
They want my life. They want me. What's this next one? Dead. Dead. They want me dead. Yeah. I'd like to pray first. I'll jump at 2 o'clock. What's this last thing, Ben? I can't remember. Let me see. At 2 o'clock, don't touch my body. That's it. Don't touch my body.
You saw the guy at close range, Beck. What do you think? He's serious?
I don't know. I'm not even going to guess.
How about me going out and talking to him, Skipper? It might work. It won't do any harm.
That ledge is 14 inches wide, Romero. If you slip, I don't want to explain it to your wife and kid.
Well, how about me giving it a try? That jumper case last October, I was on that one.
It's volunteer duty, Joe. I'm not going to order you. You know the risk.
Yeah, I'll watch you. You want to stand by here at the window, Ben? Yeah, okay. Let's get that window off, huh? Those blinds. Yeah. Those blinds, huh? Okay. Give you a hand with the window. All right. Come on. Up she goes. I'm stuck. Yeah, I did. All the way up. There it goes. Okay. Be careful now, huh? Yeah, I will.
Joe?
Yeah, Beck.
Don't forget about that hammer the guy's got. It's just my guess.
Yeah, what's that?
The guy might want to die. I don't think he wants to do it alone.
1:43 p.m. If we could take Walter Harrison's word for it, we had exactly 17 minutes to talk him into a change of mind before he plunged to his death on the pavement 13 stories below. I crawled out of the window and started inching my way along the narrow ledge. Went slow. I kept my eyes on Harrison. He stood about 10 feet away from me, looking down at the crowds jamming the streets below. I edged along to within 8 feet of him. He didn't seem to notice me. He was a fairly tall man, about 5'10", medium build, dark hair. He was wearing gray pinstripe trousers, a white shirt, no coat, no necktie. I got to within 6 feet of him. He raised one arm and made a motion with his fist at the crowd below.
Animals! You dirty bag of animals! You won't touch me! I'll stomp right through you! You won't even touch me!
I kept edging toward him. He still didn't seem to notice me. He turned his body a little. Kept pounding the side of the building with a hammer. I got a look at his right hand. In it, he held the carpenter's hammer. I got to within 5 feet of him. An airliner passed overhead. Harrison looked up. He muttered something, then he turned. He saw me.
I'm going to kill you.
It's all right with me, Walter. Why do you want to kill yourself? You're only going to hurt people.
You don't care about people. You don't care about me.
And what am I doing out here? Well, you got it wrong, Walter. A lot of people care about you. They want you back inside. They want you where it's safe.
You're another one of those. You want to get your hands on me. You want to grab me. Well, you're not. I'm going to kill you.
It's all right, Walter. You can kill me. I want to help you first.
You stay back. Don't you move anymore. I got this hammer, and I'll smash your face with it. I'll smash it.
I only want to talk to you. I know we can straighten this out.
I'll do it my way, you understand? My way. I know who you are. You've been after me before. I know what it's all about.
Yeah, I know you do, Walter, but you got it wrong. Now, look, you're going to jump off this building at 2 o'clock. That's in 15 minutes.
That's right. You bet I am.
All right, now, let's talk it over for 5 of those minutes, huh? Can't do any harm. I'm not going to hurt you. How about it, okay?
Why should I talk to you?
Because I care about what happens to you. So does your sister. So do a lot of people.
Well, then you're like a lot of people. You want to get your hands on me. Like those animals down there, the whole dirty pack of them. They want to grab on me, get all around close and put their hands on me. Well, they're not going to do it.
Of course they're not. Nobody's going to hurt you. You know that, don't you?
You bet your life they're not. You see that dirty pack down there? Well, they don't know it, but I'm going to jump right through. I'm going to jump right through all of them. They won't even touch me, and I can do it right now.
Wait a minute, Walter. Don't forget your promise.
What are you talking about? What promise?
2 o'clock. You wrote that down yourself. You said you wouldn't jump until it was 2 o'clock, didn't you?
That was no promise. I just wrote it down, that's all. Just 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, your sister believed it. We gave her the note. She says that you promised. Now, you going to make a liar out of yourself?
You're the liar. Ruth didn't say that. She didn't say it was a promise.
You got to take my word for that. All right, let's go in and ask her. How about it?
See Ruth inside?
Sure. Come on. Come on, take my hand, Walter.
All right. I'll take your hand.
Watch your step. Look out, will you?
You get back. Get back. Now, next time I won't miss. I'll smash your whole arm. You think you're pretty smart, don't you? You're trying to trick me. Well, I told you before. I know who you are. You're trying to get your hands on me.
You promised your sister 2 o'clock. You're still going to break that promise?
I'm not like you and that pack down there. I don't break promise.
Everybody knows that, Walter. They trust you. Now, come on. How about talking this thing out?
What time?
1:46. 14 minutes to go.
You're lying. How do I know that's the time?
Well, you can look at my watch. Here, right here.
No, you stand back. I told you before. You stay away from me.
I just wanted to show you the time, that's all. All right, you can look at that big clock up the street, see? The one on the side of the Hobart building up there?
14 minutes. How do I know that's right? How do I know they're not in with you, too?
You already said it. Big company. They don't care about you or me. They got a business to run. Their clock. They don't care what happens.
No, of course not. They don't care. All right, well, I'll just keep an eye on that clock.
All right. You don't mind if I talk while you wait, do you?
What's that plane? What's it doing up there?
Well, it's just an airliner. Probably on its way into Burbank.
You're not fooling me. That plane's been by before. It's flying low, too.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice it. Well, what difference does it make?
Probably watching. Flying back and forth. Maybe they're the police. They're trying to do something. They're trying to get their hands on me.
Oh, let's see. Yeah. Might be their plane. It's a big one.
Sure, they're trying to do something. Coming right by here, flying low. It's the same one. I can see. Look, you see there on the wing?
Yeah, what's that?
The number right there on the wing. It's the same one that passed over a few minutes ago. Hey, you get away from me!
All right, Walter, give me that.
I'm going to kill you.
Give it to me.
That's
it, Walter.
You thought you tricked me. You didn't know I had my pocket knife. Well, I can kill you with it now. I can kill you right now.
Yeah. I told you before, it's all right with me. Look out there. Watch your step on the ledge, will you?
I should have cut your hand off. I should have cut your whole arm off and thrown it to those animals down there. Look at that blood all over your hand.
Well, I'm sorry, Walter. It's not your fault. I just wanted to talk the whole thing over to tell you how your sister feels about it.
You're a liar. I knew it when I looked at you. Now you get away. You get away before I kill you.
Look, there's only one thing I can tell you. Your sister Ruth's sitting inside there, and she's worried sick. She's waiting for you. She wants to take you home. Now, how about it? There's no reason for all this. You know that, don't you?
Do I?
Sure you do. Your sister and your family, they care about you. They want you home again. They want you with them. There's no reason to be standing out here now, is there?
You wait till 2 o'clock, mister.
Yeah.
I'll show you the reason.
1:48 p.m. 12 minutes left. I made my way along the ledge, through the window, back into the office. Dr. Wright, a man who'd been treating Walter Harrison for his mental sickness, was already there with Dr. Turner. While the nurse bandaged up my hand, Captain Steed, Ben, and I talked with him.
I've treated Harrison for 10 years, on and off, I guess. He showed some improvement, not much. Definite paranoid tendencies.
Did he ever try this before, Dr. Wright?
Not to my knowledge. His sister might tell you more. I really don't know what to advise you to do. He's never been this violent before, using a hammer and knife.
There you are, Sergeant. I feel all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
There's only one thing I've got to know, Doctor. Is it worth letting another one of my men go out there on that ledge?
I'm afraid that's your decision, Captain. It may help, it may not. I know the patient, but I can't read his mind.
I was just thinking. We might bring Harrison's sister to the window and have her talk to him. Think that might help, Doctor?
Very possible it might. In a spot like this, I'm in the same boat you are. It's all guesswork.
You think Harrison's really going to be ready to jump at 2 o'clock, Doctor?
From what Sergeant Friday tells me, yes, I think he'll jump.
We got to come up with something. We can't just stand around and watch a guy take a dive down 13th story.
I wish I knew the answer.
There's got to be one someplace. There's got to be an answer.
Well, let's check your watch. We got 10 minutes to find it.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. And now, here's an authentic report from Fatima Cigarettes.
1949. Fatima more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. 1950. Another record-breaking year, with more long cigarette smokers insisting on Fatima quality than ever before.
In 1951, enjoy Fatima quality yourself.
Yes, friends, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, plump cigarettes rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Start enjoying Fatima for a new year of greater smoking enjoyment. Insist on Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's the sworn duty of the peace officer to protect the lives of the citizens of the community in which he serves. That isn't always limited to protecting the citizens from criminals and lawbreakers. Oftentimes, the citizen has to be protected from himself. The drunken driver can do as much harm to his own person as he can to others. The same for the narcotic addict. The same for mental incompetence, such as Walter Harrison. If he was being assaulted, robbed, or shot at by a gunman, it would have been no more serious. Harrison's life was in jeopardy. Trying to save him had to be the first consideration. 1:50 p.m. Sergeant Jack Wiseman inched his way out on the ledge of the 13th story and kept Walter Harrison busy talking. Anything to keep his mind off the jump. Captain Steed got on the phone and talked to the manager of the Hobart building, a 12-story structure 3 blocks away with a large clock set into either side of it. The same clock Harrison was keeping time by.
Yeah, that's right, just so you don't make it look too obvious. Okay, Mr. Walsh, thank you. They're going to do all they can. Let's hope it works.
Yeah, what'd he say?
They're going to start slowing down the clock in the building right away. If Harrison goes by that time, it's going to be a long 10 minutes.
Well, how much they figure they can stretch it?
About 5 or 6 minutes without making it look too obvious.
We can sure use it. Let's hope Harrison doesn't catch on.
Manager said they'll stop the clock when there's a minute to go. It'll never reach 2 o'clock.
Skipper.
Yeah, Romero.
I just checked with the rescue squad down the street. They're stringing out more nets.
Yeah?
They're not guaranteeing anything.
How do you mean?
They're worried about those ledges jutting up from the building every other floor. They say if Harrison jumps close enough, he's bound to hit one of them. If he does, he'll be dead before he reaches street level. Nets down there won't do him any good.
Well, nothing we can do about it. Something else we'll have to hand over to luck.
Have they come up with any ideas, Ben?
Just one. Sounds like it could work.
What's that?
They figured like we did. The overhang on the roof is too wide to lower a man directly down on top of Harrison to grab him.
Yeah?
They think it might work if they try this. Put a man in a rope sling just over the edge of the roof. Lower him down toward Harrison as close as possible without tipping him. Give him a good line. Let him try to rope Harrison.
I don't know.
They got any candidates to try it?
Yeah, one. The guy's been on the rescue squad for years. Supposed to be an expert with a lasso.
Captain?
No, might do it. I don't know.
Yeah. What happens if he misses Harrison?
Who knows? What happens if Harrison jumps?
Captain?
I just got off that ledge in a hurry. He came at me with that knife.
Is he any closer to the window?
He backed off again. Something else, that clock in the Hobart building.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's wise to that gimmick. He's given it up.
What do you mean?
The 2 o'clock deadline. He's not going to wait for it.
1:55 p.m. A specially equipped police car with loudspeakers mounted on the roof was rushed to the intersection of 3rd and Temple Streets opposite the Fitzroy building. Sergeant Jack Wiseman took Walter Harrison's sister, Ruth, down in the elevator to the street. She got on the police car microphone and started talking to her brother over the loudspeakers. Word was passed to the special detail of men from the fire department's rescue squad standing by on the roof of the building. They went to work. Captain Steed went up to the roof to see if he could assist them. Ben and I waited in the office on the 13th floor. The nurse, Miss Lenahan, and Jean Bechtel were with us. 1:57 p.m. The men on the roof started to lower the man from the rescue squad in a rope sling. He held a double-strength lasso in his hand. The end of it was wrapped around his body and tied securely. Ben and I watched from the window. We looked along the narrow ledge. Walter Harrison stood erect and motionless, an open pocket knife in one hand, his feet poised on the brink of a 13-story jump. The voice of Harrison's sister drifted up from the loudspeakers down on the street.
Walter? This is Ruth, Walter. Can you hear me? This is Ruth. I want you to come home with me, Walter. Please. You've got to understand.
Sister's doing all right. Finish it for sure if it looks up.
Yeah, sure will.
There's nothing wrong. No one's going to hurt you. We want to help you, Walter. Please.
I can't see, Joe. You're letting the man down?
Yeah, coming slow.
There's
Wait a minute.
nothing to be afraid of. You know that, don't you? Come home with me, please. I'll take care of you. I'll see that you're safe. That you're all right.
Joe, how's Harrison doing? Can you see?
Yeah, he's looking down, not moving at all.
Nobody's going to hurt you, believe me. These people are your friends. They want to help you. Can you hear me, Walter? They want to help you.
That's it.
What?
Man coming down on the rope. He's just above Harrison now.
They're your friends. You can trust me, your sister Ruth. You've got to trust me, Walter. I want to take care of you. I want to take you home.
Yeah, I see the man now. He's right above me. Got the lasso ready.
Keep your fingers crossed.
What is it? What's happening?
A lasso. He's throwing it.
Get away from me!
Miss, Joey, miss.
Walter, wait a minute. Harrison! No, I'm alive. Just get him away from me. Get him away!
Pull that man up. Pull him out of the way.
That doesn't.
Oh, he's still on the ledge. I'm going out.
Joe, wait a minute.
Yeah?
It's only a chance.
Yeah?
Why don't you get him mad at you? Say anything, insult him.
Well, I'll try.
Anything to make him go for you. If you can get him down to this window, I can grab him.
If I get him by the window, I'll hold on to him, huh?
Yeah. When you grab him, try to lean as close to the building as you can.
Not much to lean on the other way. 1:59 p.m. I got through the window and out onto the ledge. The crowds jamming the streets below had swollen to almost twice their size. A few blocks away, the big clock on the side of the Hobart building read 5 minutes to 2, but Harrison wasn't looking at it. He still had his eyes fixed on the pavement 13 stories beneath us. He'd torn off his collar and his shirt was ripped open at the neck. He waved his arms and shouted at the crowd below as he tottered along the ledge toward the corner of the building, away from the window that I was supposed to lure him into. In his right hand, he still held onto the open pocket knife.
You're not going to get your hands on me. You're not even going to get close.
Wait a minute, Harrison. Watch it.
You watch me, mister. I'm going to jump right through them down there. Those dirty animals. You just watch.
All right, wait a minute. I got a message for you from your sister Ruth. Now, do you want to hear it?
You won't get your hands on me. None of you. I'll see you later.
You're a phony, Harrison. You're a phony liar.
I'm a what?
You heard me. You're not kidding anybody.
You don't think I can jump, huh? Well, you just what?
Anybody can jump. Any phony can do that.
What?
It doesn't take anything. Those animals down there in the street, any one of them could do that. You're just like one of them.
I've still got this knife. I've used it before. I can kill you.
You couldn't kill anything. You haven't got the guts. You're a phony.
You're a liar. You're a rotten liar. I can cut you to pieces.
Oh, you talk big, Harrison, but you're all talk.
I can cut you to pieces.
You haven't got me fooled, mister. Not for a minute.
I'll cut you to pieces.
You haven't got half the nerve. You're a phony and you know it.
You're a rotten liar. You stand still. Go on. You stand still and I'll show you.
Oh, you talk a real good game, but that's about all. You're all talk.
I'll show you. I still have my knife and I'll kill you right now.
Yeah, sure you will.
You're backing away. You're afraid.
You're a phony, Harrison. Nobody's afraid of a phony.
Cut you up good.
I'm waiting for you. Come on. What's the matter, Harrison?
You're not waiting. Stay still and stop backing away. Now stop.
I tell you, you come and get me, huh? Haven't you got enough nerve? Or you're just talking again? All talk, huh?
That window. You've got to stop by the window and then I'll cut you to pieces.
All right, Harrison. Here. Now you go ahead. Prove you're a phony.
All right. I'll show you. You rotten liar.
All right, Warren, now drop it.
I can't kill you. You rotten liar. I'll cut you to pieces.
Drop it.
Joe, look out. Grab them. They're going to fall.
Well, how close can it get?
Here. Nurse?
That was just wonderful, Sergeant, both of you. Are you all right?
Yeah, fine. Would you mind getting Captain Steve for us, please? You know who he is.
Oh, surely, right away.
Well,
Yeah, it was a rough one.
yeah, Dad, looked like you were both going over the side.
Yeah.
Thought I'd lost you, Joe.
Well, you didn't have to worry.
No?
No. You told me which way to lean.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 10th, a sanity hearing was held at the County Hospital Psychopathic Ward, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, there's one big difference in long cigarettes, and here's the one sentence that tells the full story. In Fatima, the difference is quality. That's why this headline is being featured in leading national magazines. Yes, these new Fatima full-page color ads are another proof of Fatima's fast-growing popularity. More long cigarette smokers are insisting on Fatima quality than ever before. Now, if you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, buy a pack of extra mild Fatimas. You'll find, as I have, that Fatimas now cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality.
After being examined by 6 psychiatrists, Walter John Harrison was judged mentally incompetent. On his sister's request, he was committed to a private sanitarium. 7 months later, Harrison took his own life by hanging. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portion transcribed from Los Angeles. We the People is next with Stories of Today on NBC.
story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. For 3 months, you've been tracking a pair of hold-up men. There's no pattern to their operation. They're young. They're brutal. Your job, stop them. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, March 3rd. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Harry Didion, captain of robbery. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the neighborhood bakery shop, and it was 8:45 a.m. when I got to Collis Avenue. Number 4656.
Joe?
Yeah?
What happened? Wasn't the bakery open?
Oh, yeah, it was open. I got the stuff right here.
Oh. They have any raisin bread?
Yeah, right here.
How about the butterhorn?
No, they don't make those on Sundays anymore. I got bear claws instead.
Okay, well, let's get this stuff open.
Okay.
All right.
Here we are.
Mm-hmm. Where do you keep your eggs?
In the refrigerator, right over there.
Uh-huh.
Find them?
Yeah, I got them. You know, Joe, I don't like to say anything, but I can't keep coming over here to your place every morning.
Well, it was your idea. Nobody asked you.
Yeah, but I know how you are. You don't know how to cook a decent breakfast for yourself.
Is the coffee ready yet?
No, it's not perking yet. Hey, you sure there's nothing wrong with this pot? It's been on for 10 minutes.
Yeah, you forgot to plug it in.
Oh, uh-huh. Now, let's see.
Well, what do you want?
Well, better put the toast on.
You always make the toast before you cook the eggs?
Yeah.
You remember yesterday the toast was pretty cold.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I better hold off for a minute.
Yeah.
Scrambled eggs okay?
Well, we had them yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is that the only way you know how to fix them?
I know what you'd like. One of my Spanish omelets. When'd you say your mother was coming back?
Well, in about 3 more days.
Yeah, that'll make a week, won't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I guess I can work something out with Amy. Wife doesn't like me coming over here every morning like this.
Well, I told you before, I can make out all right here.
Oh, I know how it is. You think you're imposing. You'd be lost without your can opener.
Say, is this omelet of yours going to take very long? We haven't got very much time, you know.
I'll have it on your plate in a jiffy. What time are we supposed to see those victims?
9:30 at the county hospital.
Where's your tomatoes?
In the refrigerator.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, 23 jobs in 3 months. Those guys really move, don't they?
Yeah. Nice tomatoes, Joe.
That Hollenbeck job last night. Vicious punks.
Yeah, there's no reason to work the old man over the way they did. What'd the doctor say?
Well, he's going to get over it all right, but they kicked out all of his front teeth. He's 50 years old.
Same M.O. Every job.
The Aren't you going to peel those?
No, skins are good for you. Now, you got a nice big Bermuda? Bermuda onion.
Oh, yeah. I'll get you one.
Kid, 19, 20-year-old stick-up artist. Knock a man's senses for $50. Robbing, slugging, kicking their way around the city.
Yeah.
This'll be one bunch I'll be glad to catch up with.
Here's your onion.
Good.
Well, now, wait a minute. You're going to peel that, aren't you?
And lose half the flavor?
I don't know. I always peel them.
I see now. There now. Now, mix the whole works together.
You going to put it in that pan on the stove there?
Yes, sir.
Looks pretty hot, doesn't it? It's smoking.
Joe, that's the way you cook a Spanish omelet. Hot, fire, and fast. Now, into the pan. The whole trick in making a good Spanish omelet is you got to work fast.
What are all those little brown flakes on the top there? Oh, the onion skins. No, I don't know. That doesn't look right to me.
Wait till you taste it.
I got it. Friday talking.
Elton Young, Joe. Romero there with you?
Yeah, he's here.
You two are supposed to see those robbery victims at the county hospital this morning, aren't you?
Yeah, at 9:30.
Well, cancel that out. Gonzalez and Powers are covering on that.
Yeah, how come?
Just got the call. South Grand and Colonial, 211 on slugging. Same description. Looks like the kid bandits.
All right, we'll get right on it.
It's a newsstand near the corner.
Right. Bye.
Look at that, Joe. I just took it out of the pan.
Yeah.
Best Spanish omelet I ever made.
That's too bad. We're not going to have time to eat it. 8:55 a.m. We left the house and drove to the scene of the holdup, one door from the corner of South Grand and Colonial Avenue. The victims were Mr. and Mrs. John Wilden, proprietors of a small newspaper and soft drink stand just off the intersection. Mrs. Wilden was being carried to a waiting ambulance when we got there. She was unconscious. From her forehead to her chin, her face was a swollen mass of welts. Her nose had been broken, and she had fractures of the jaw and cheekbone. Her husband, John Wilden, age 56, had a single bruise on his forehead over his left eye. We questioned him after the ambulance attendants gave him first aid. His description of the holdup men tallied almost perfectly.
One was a redhead, other one had dark hair, both about the same height. I'd say they're as tall as you are, officer.
That's just Joe. Kid bandit.
Yeah. Had you ever seen either one of these men before, Mr. Wilden, around the neighborhood, maybe?
No, never did. I don't know why they picked on Madeline and me for a holdup. We've never been robbed before. We just got this little hole in the wall here. Don't see how it could look worthwhile to any crook.
You usually open up this early on Sunday morning?
Oh, yeah, Sunday's one of our big days. You see, we handle all the Sunday papers. You get our big trade from the people going to church up the street there. St. Joseph's?
Yes, sir, I see.
After the church lets out, most of the people head down this way and pick up the Sunday papers. We sell about 15, 20 papers after every Mass. It's a nice little business, you know. We close up after 12:15.
Well, when did the holdup take place? Can you remember that, sir?
Well, I'd say 8:30, a few minutes after. I went down to the Athens Cafe down the street there. I wanted to get some change. I left Madeline here to handle the counter. Madeline, that's my wife.
Yes, sir.
And when I got back, she wasn't behind the counter. I took a look behind here and saw our cash box laying on the cement there, empty, and I didn't know what to think.
Mm-hmm. What'd you do then?
Well, I pushed through this door here. It's a little dinky storeroom just back at the counter. It's where we keep our supplies, candy and soda water.
Right. You mind if we take a look, sir?
No. Come right ahead. You see, when I came in, first thing I saw was Madeline. That's my wife. And she was lying there on the boards moaning, had her hands over her face. The two young fellows were standing over her, and both had guns.
Mm-hmm. What did they do when they saw you?
And they grabbed me and asked for money. I told them I didn't have any. I began to holler for help. One of them slugged me with his gun, and then they ran out. I'm still a little shaky. You mind if I sit down?
Go ahead, sir. Oh, here. Let me get this box for you.
Thank you.
Say, I wonder if we could get you some water, or maybe a cold drink from the cooler.
Oh, no. But you'll find a half pint behind those cases over there, a little brandy I keep put away.
Over here?
Yes, that's right, behind those cases. I don't usually drink on Sundays. This is an exception, I guess.
Here you are, Mr. Wilden.
What's that on the floor there, Ben? No, near your foot there. Wait,
I see. Oh, the light's not very good. Oh, book of matches.
Yeah. Are these yours, Mr. Wilden, these matches?
No, I don't carry them.
Well, your wife's, I guess, huh?
I don't think so. Neither one of them smoke.
What's that ad printed on the back here?
Big 10 Cafe, steaks, chopped short orders, open all night, West Pico. Do you handle cigarettes and cigars here, sir?
No, sir. Candy, soft drinks, newspapers, that's all.
Oh, inside of the matchbook cover, Joe. Some scribbling on it.
George Bell, S. Cameron, 5th and Alameda. Do you recognize this at all, Mr. Wilden?
Big 10 Cafe. No, I've never been there.
Now, how about the names here, inside the cover?
George Bell, S. Cameron. No, I never heard of him.
Well, when you first came in here, Mr. Wilden, do you remember where the hold-up men were standing?
Not too well. Well, one was over there, and one was over there, I think.
Could be, Joe. One of them might have dropped it.
Trace them from that matchbook? Do you think that's possible?
I don't know yet.
How would you trace them that way? Analysis? Some kind of scientific work?
No, sir. Legwork. 9:28 a.m. We call latent fingerprints. As soon as they arrived, we dropped Mr. Wilden off at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital to see his wife. Ben and I drove back to the office. We had the crime report typed up and got out a supplementary broadcast on our original APB. We asked Frank Cunningham and R&I to run the names George Bell and S. Cameron through the files for a possible mate. We checked for the restaurant advertised on the cover of the matchbook, the Big 10 Cafe. The manager of the cafe failed to recognize either the names on the matchbook or the descriptions of the hold-up men. 9:52. We checked back in at the office.
I'll get it. Robbery, Romero? Yeah, Frank. Yeah. Good, right. Thank you.
Cunningham?
You got a make on the name George Bell. Another one for Sam Cameron. Both of them run together. Got a long juvenile record.
Good. You got an address on them?
Yeah. Won't be hard to run down.
What do you mean?
Main jail.
5 days before, George Bell, a laborer, and Samuel Cameron, a part-time jewelry salesman, had been booked at the main jail on charges of being drunk and disorderly. The day after his arrest, Cameron was bailed out. Bell was still in the drunk tank. Ben and I went down to the main jail and talked to him. He didn't fit the description of either of the bandits. He was very cooperative, but he stated that he'd been very drunk and he couldn't remember too much.
Just don't know, Sergeant. Sam and I went out and tied one on. When it came to, we were here in the drunk tank.
You have no idea at all how your names got on this matchbook.
I'm trying to think. We're pretty well heated up, Sam and me. That's another thing, that dirty Sam.
What do you mean?
You got the friend of his to come up here and bail him out. Think you'd do anything for me? No. I bought the liquor. He lets me sit here now. Dirty Sam.
You think he might remember about that matchbook?
I don't know. I'm disgusted with him. If you see him, you can tell him that. Just let him know he's off my list.
How about the address here on the matchbook, George? It says 5th and Alameda. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Were you and Cameron hitting some of the spots around that area?
No, we were messing around over in Dogtown. Didn't get down by Alameda at all.
Well, it must have some tie-in for you. 5th and Alameda?
No. The only guy I know down there is Sanchez. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Just a minute. Sanchez. Gus Sanchez, sure. I wanted to see Gus. I thought he'd put up bail for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got it now. I think I have anyway. It was the morning after, and I woke up here in the tank. Oh, a big head, you know. Really whipped.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first thing I thought was out. I figured Gus Sanchez might pop for bail. A friend of mine, you know. Gus works at the bar at 5th and Alameda. That's it.
Well, how's it tie in?
This other mooch is in the tank next to me. Somebody's popped bail for him, and he's getting out in an hour. So I asked him to call Gus for me, and he said he would. He wrote my name down, and he wrote down Sam's, too. Dirty Sam. And he took down Gus's address. Yeah, 5th and Alameda.
You remember what this man looked like when he took your name?
Oh, let's see. No, everything was going around. He's kind of tall, I don't know.
Would you remember him if you saw him again?
Guy did me a favor. I'd remember him. Not like that Dirty Sam.
Well, how about his name? Did he tell you that?
No, I didn't ask him. I should have, huh?
You sure about the day this man was released?
Positive. The same day I came in, Tuesday.
Well, okay, Bell. Thanks very much. We'll be checking back with you.
Yeah, all right. Hey, what about this guy? You got to pay for him?
Well, maybe, if he's the one we want.
Yeah, what'd he do?
We lost his matches. Ben and I left the drunk tank and went down the hall to check with the officer in charge. We paged through the release book and found that 7 men had been bailed out or discharged from the jail on the previous Tuesday. We went back to the record bureau and had them pull the mug shots on all 7 men. Then we took the pictures back to the drunk tank and showed them to George Bell.
No. Yeah, this one, I think. Can't be sure. I think that's him.
George Bell had tentatively identified the mugshot of a Fred Gunther, WMA, 21 years old. Gunther had a previous record of grand theft auto, purse snatching, and drunk charges. His picture matched closely with the description of one of the suspects. 4 a.m., we contacted the Kid Bandit's most recent victim, John Wilden, at his home. We asked him to look at the same group of mugshots that we'd shown to George Bell.
Here, he's one of them.
You sure, Mr. Wilden?
He's the one who slugged me. Who is he?
His name's Fred Gunther.
Oh, then you know him. You want me to identify him?
Yes, sir, when we find him.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. Now, here's an authentic report from Fatima Cigarettes.
1949. Fatima more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. 1950. Another record-breaking year, with more long cigarette smokers insisting on Fatima quality than ever before.
In 1951, enjoy Fatima quality yourself.
Yes, friends, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, plump cigarettes rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Start enjoying Fatima quality yourself. Insist on Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, March 4th, 9 a.m. We checked out the suspect, Fred Gunther. No trace of him at any of his previous addresses. We began checking with the other victims of the Kid Bandits. After a day and a half of legwork, we sat down and figured up the results. More than 2/3 of the victims definitely tabbed Gunther as one of the holdup men. The next step was the record bureau. We had them pull the packages on every one of Gunther's known friends and associates. There were more than 30 of them. We had mugshots pulled on each one of them and made the rounds of the victims for the second time. Approximately half of the victims had singled out one picture as that of Gunther's partner in the holdups. We pulled the package on the man and checked his mama sheet. His name was Harold Reimers, WMA, age 19. Previous record included car stripping and 1 charge ADW, no conviction. Friday, March 8th. We continued our check of the friends and associates known to the 2 suspects, Gunther and Reimers. We got nowhere. 2 weeks passed. On March 23rd, we got a tip from an informant about a girlfriend of Fred Gunther's, a vocalist working at a downtown dance hall during intermissions.
Long haul.
Yeah, 1 more flight.
Climb 4 flights of stairs and then they expect you to dance.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is it. Yeah, come on.
Big enough floor, huh?
Well, it shows a little wear. The place has been here for years.
Look at those walls and that ceiling. Sure could use a fresh coat of paint.
Is her name Stanley? Is that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Excuse me?
Hi.
Is your name Lorraine Stanley?
Yeah, that's right. Sweet Lorraine, that's my billing. You with the band?
No, we're police officers. I'd like to talk to you for a minute if we can.
Oh, sure, all right. I was just rehearsing a little. What's it about, officer?
Do you know a Fred Gunther, Miss Stanley?
Fred? Yeah, I know him. I used to be engaged to Fred.
You happen to know where he is now?
No, I don't. Guess I haven't heard from him in 3-4 months. Usually looks me up when I'm in town. Maybe he's sore about something, I don't know.
Has he contacted you at all?
Not since I got back from Bakersfield a month ago. I played 32 weeks in Bakersfield, the Ramble Inn. Sure hated to leave, nice place.
Mm-hmm. Where does Gunther stay in town? Do you happen to know that?
Used to be that hotel on South Flower. Called him there, but they said he moved. Used to like Fred a lot. Not enough to marry him, though.
Do you have any idea where he might have gone, where we could contact him?
No, I really don't. Nothing wrong, is there, about Fred, I mean?
No, it's just a routine investigation. We'd like to talk to him.
What's it about? Can you tell me?
It's a robbery investigation. We want to locate Gunther. Do you happen to know any of his friends here in the city?
No. Maybe that's why he didn't call. He's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Robbery? Is that it?
Well, we just like to talk to him, that's all.
Well, if he's done something wrong, I'm not going to hide him. I can't afford to get mixed up in it. I've got a career to think about. I've worked too hard to throw it away.
Well, how about the places Gunther usually visits, Miss Stanley? Bars, restaurants. You know any of those?
No, I remember a few. I can give you the names if you like. Poor Fred. I hope he didn't do it for me.
Ma'am?
Well, Fred says he's in love with me. I don't know. He thinks I want money. Maybe that's why he's doing it. I told him, but he never believed me. All I want is my career.
Well, do you think that Gunther might come around here to see you?
Probably. He usually does when I'm in town.
How about where you're living?
I'm staying at a different hotel this trip. He doesn't know where he is. Poor Fred. He's going to be awfully disappointed.
Hmm? How do you mean?
Oh, he said he was going to get money and buy a ring. He's going to marry me this time. Poor Fred. This is my new theme, officers. You like it?
Uh-huh. Just one more thing, Miss Stanley. If Gunther contacts you by phone, will you be sure and let us know?
All right, I'll do that. Sure, a beautiful theme, isn't it? Piano player in Bakersfield, he wrote it for me. Beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Fred understands. I don't want to hurt him, but I can't marry him. How do I make him understand? How do I explain it?
I don't think you'll have to, ma'am. Before we left Lorraine Stanley, we told her that if Gunther should contact her, not to tell him that she'd talked with us. Stakeouts were placed on the dance hall where she worked and at the hotel where she was staying. Gunther's known hangouts were also covered. The next night, the Kid Bandits were back in business. They hit twice, a liquor store on Franklin Avenue and a tavern on South Flower. Gunther and Reimers were again identified as the two suspects. The stakeouts continued. The search went on. 4 days later, we got a tip from the proprietor of a shoe shine stand on West Temple that Gunther's partner, Harold Reimers, had been seen entering a small hotel up the street from his stand. We drove over and checked with the desk clerk. He identified Reimers' mugshot. He told us that the suspect wasn't in, but that he was expected back that night. Ben and I went on stakeout in his hotel room. 7 p.m. Reimers failed to show.
Getting a little hungry, Joe. You?
Yeah. What time you got now?
20 after 7. My stomach's starting to growl. And what's that, a parade?
Well, I don't think so. Let's see. Oh, it's the Salvation Army Band.
Oh, yeah, Saturday night. Might as well check the office, huh? See if we can't get a relief.
Yeah.
Would you get me Michigan 5211, please? Michigan 5211. Yeah, we'll pay for it, thank you. Would you close the window, George? A little noise.
Yeah, okay.
Robbery, please. Yeah, Young, this is from Merrill. How's that? You sure? Okay, thank you. Gunther and Reimers, they pulled a holdup down South Main.
When?
20 minutes ago. Gunther got away.
Yeah.
They got Reimers.
7:45 p.m. Ben and I got back to the city hall and went to the interrogation room. Together with Young and Carr from robbery, we tried to question the suspect, Harold Reimers. We talked to him for over an hour. He refused to tell us anything. We took him to the main jail where he was booked on 211 PC. 9:15 p.m. We went back to the office.
I'll get it. Robbery, Romero. In just a minute. For you, Joe.
Okay, thanks. Friday talking.
Sergeant, this is Lorraine Stanley.
Yeah, Miss Stanley.
I'm over at work. The dance hall, you remember?
Yes, ma'am. Anything wrong?
Well, Fred just called me, Sergeant. I told the officers here. Fred Gunther?
Yes, ma'am. Where is he? Did he say?
No, all he said was he wanted to see me.
Yeah?
He said he was coming right over.
9:25 p.m. We called the men on stakeout at the dance hall and alerted them. Elton Young, Ben, and I got in the car and drove over. We checked with the detail on stakeout. Gunther hadn't been spotted, but because of the large crowd entering and leaving the dance hall, it was possible that he could have gotten in unnoticed. We talked to the Stanley girl. She hadn't seen or heard anything further from the suspect. Ben and I staked out in her dressing room where Gunther said he'd meet the girl. It was a small converted storeroom at one end of the dance floor, just behind the bandstand. Lorraine Stanley was on during the intermission. We waited.
What have you got, Joe?
Almost 10:30.
This guy must feel pretty sure of himself. He pulls a robbery, he's almost picked up, and 3 hours later he makes a date to show in a public play.
Well, he hasn't shown yet. I'm not too sure about that Stanley girl.
How do you mean?
Well, if she's that big an attraction for him. This is the only way out, huh? Besides that fire escape off the alley.
Yeah, Young's covering the alley.
Come on.
Down here, Joe! He got by me. He's up the alley behind one of those trucks.
He can't go far. That's a dead end.
Stay here, Young, and cut him off.
You all right?
Yeah, he slugged me, knocked me down. I didn't see him in the dark.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Easy, huh?
Sure dark.
Yeah.
Watch it behind that truck! Make room! I'm coming out!
Watch it, Joe! Missed him.
Coming at you, Young!
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! All right, stand still.
You want to stay with him, Young? We'll call in.
Yeah, right. Closest place, that little cafe off the alley to the left.
Thanks. Come on, Ben.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, I guess they got a phone inside. Come on.
Wait a minute. As soon as we get Gunther downtown, we're going to come right back here.
What for?
Take a look at that fry cook in the window there.
Yeah, what about it?
That fella makes a Spanish omelet exactly like I do.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 19th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, if you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Now, believe me, this difference is mighty important. So important that you'll always remember the first pack of Fatimas that you buy. Fatima's fast-growing popularity backs me up on that. But look, you can prove it to yourself by getting a pack of Fatimas tomorrow. You'll find that they now cost the same as other long cigarettes. And your first pack will convince you to go right on smoking them. Join me and the new thousands who enjoy Fatima's extra mildness, Fatima's rich, better flavor and aroma. You'll discover what all we Fatima smokers know. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fred Gunther and Harold Reimers were tried and convicted on several counts of robbery and assault. They received sentences as prescribed by law, and are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
We the People is next with stories of today on NBC.